Yeah.
Oh, we got one big picture and no other picture.
I can change the view.
If you can't tell if anyone else on one.
It is on gallery.
Why don't we have that? We don't have a banner.
Nice. Oh, technology, just love it.
Oh, my goodness. So I had Ian look at this. Admit all. Well, there we go, but I'm not seeing anybody.
That's because they all have this banner. Yeah, they all have their.
But I can't see us either.
Usually we're at the top or whatever.
Yeah, we're banner across the top.
Speaker.
Oh,
Nope. Well, we had a problem with it the other day, so gallery.
Forty second might be able to use can skip on the screen, but they can see all the people usually see.
They can see all of us.
Look at why we can't get that banner across the top.
I'm not overly worried about that. As long as we can talk to people that want to talk, come in. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I guess so.
All right. So let's start the meeting with our pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. And we have established a forum. So next item that we start with is public comment. And before we get into that, we have had a lot of conversations going back and forth on the outgoing town manager and the benefits we've allotted. So I've got a statement that I'm going to read, basically prepared from by our lawyer, so that everyone understands. To the extent that any of you would like to discuss specific issues related to our outgoing town manager that may be related to confidential personnel matters, we will not allow in those discussions or statements in public. If you are interested in the information, please submit a FOIA request to the town FOIA officer. The town will handle these requests as they come in pursuant to town's obligation under the applicable law. To the extent that everyone has a disagreement regarding any of these requests, there are appropriate venues for these disagreements. When the outgoing town manager presented us with her resignation due to her health issues, which are well known in the community, she was entitled to be paid out all accrued and unused vacation time pursuant to her contract with the town and consistent with Maine law. The board requests that any of your comments related to the confidential personnel matters that you please refrain from making these statements in public. So, just we have an outgoing town manager with some health issues, and we just ask that so some consideration to the select board made a negotiation with her, and that's where we stand at this point.
May I have that for the minutes? Thank you.
Sure can. And then we can start with any other public comment.
So I appreciate the statement. And may I correctly assume that was sort of in response to the email that I sent to you folks a week or so ago?
I don't know, because I never got the emails. You must have sent it to my town email that
I do. I send it all to everyone's county.
Yeah.
So with your permission, I'd like to read my email so that people sort of know what the genesis of this is, and it has nothing to do with our former manager.
Okay.
Because she was more than welcome to ask for anything that she wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
This is about accountability for the 5 people who are sitting up here who are elected to serve our community, our residents, and our taxpayers. So if I may, this is what I wrote. Dear Select Board members, I listened carefully to Tuesday night's, this was 2 weeks ago, discussion regarding the town manager separation agreement and would like to offer several observations. First, actions of the Select Board must legally occur in an open session. While negotiations, discussions, and deliberations may properly occur in an executive session, any formal vote or action must be taken publicly in accordance with Maine's Freedom of Access Act. I am certain the town attorney would have advised the same. And maybe your attorney did. Failure to follow that process unnecessarily exposes the town to legal challenge and undermines public confidence in the board's decision making. Second, Melanie Jewell raised an important and legitimate concern regarding equity and consistency in the application of town policy. The town manager appears to receive terms that substantially exceed what the town's personnel policy allows for other employees. During the discussion 2 weeks ago, a board member suggested that because the town manager is under contract, different treatment was appropriate. However, unless specific separation terms are contained within that contract, the town's own personnel policy adopted by the Select Board should govern. Another board member stated that under the circumstances, the board believed this separation package was, quote, the right thing to do. Respectfully, the board's obligation is not to provide extraordinary consideration to an individual employee, but to act in the best interest of the community and its taxpayers while applying town policies consistently and fairly. In this case, the quote, right thing to do would have been to adhere to both the employment contract and the personnel policy, both of which the Select Board approved. The personnel policy is explicit. Section 8, page 19 states, quote, any unused time over 240 hours will be lost effective the last day of each fiscal year. Yet the separation agreement compensates the town manager for 387.11 hours. If the board chooses to disregard established policy in this instance, taxpayers deserve a clear explanation as to why. Melanie's concern about creating a precedent for future employee separations is well founded. Finally, if the board approves payroll warrants, it also bears responsibility for ensuring that its sole employee, the town manager, is accurately accounting for the use of vacation and sick leave. As Bruce Galush stated Tuesday night ago, the manager appears to have taken more vacation time than the documented accrued balance would support. That raises additional concerns about compliance with town policy and about whether taxpayers effectively pay twice for portions of that leave. For a board that regularly scrutinizes even modest expenditures in the warrants, the comparatively casual treatment of an expense totaling tens of thousands of dollars is difficult to reconcile. At a minimum, the public deserves a clear public explanation and transparent accounting of these three questions: how this agreement was approved, why town policy was set aside, whether taxpayers incurred costs inconsistent with town policy, and what corrective measures the Select Board intends to take in open session. Respectfully, Anthony Wilson, citizen.
Thank you. Do you have any other public comment?
Caroline yet. I have been here at different meetings, budget committee meetings, for the last 6 of them or 7 of them this spring. Extra meetings, where we hosted even press here related to the interim town manager position and so on. And I did send an email to the board, related to the amount of complaints around the previous performance and benefits of the previous town manager. So that said, it seems that it has to be something with reasoning for the benefit of the taxpayers. So I will claim that if that interest was so high, why last year the same residents that are complaining at now didn't went to the school board and complain about the interim assistant superintendent position that was paid $150,000, and this town took up a quarter of that, which is more than 30,000. This benefit package, I don't think even is close, if you do the numbers, is not even close to 18-20 that. So to me, it seems that there's a nitpicking in relation to the previous town manager, is her benefits and her decisions on whatever she did.
Jillian Real, I have questions about the plan for hiring a new town manager. There has been discussion about what process might look like, but I haven't seen any public explanation of what process you plan to use. The involvement of the committee that was appointed, to what extent will they have say in the interviewing process and final decision, a timeline. So I was just hoping that the board could provide us with some more information about your plans for hiring a new town manager, so that we can understand if or when we might have opportunities to weigh in on priorities and what that will look like.
Public comment, that's for public
Right.
comment. It's not a time for us to engage
Sure.
in back and forth.
I guess my public comment is, it feels like that would be very important and useful information to share. Clearly, we have been struggling as a community, and I'm really looking forward to looking ahead. But given the concerns that we've been hearing, I think transparency about the process and the decision-making would be really, really helpful to us. I think it's very important that we get someone with a high level of experience and professionalism, particularly as it pertains to financial matters. And so I'd really love to see the board take time to get a good flow of applicants and use MMA services to help with the screening, so that we really end up with a great candidate to move forward. So, and I would love the board to report out at a future meeting, if not tonight, on what process you.
Public comment in here. Anybody on, Mary, do you see anybody online?
No.
Okay. All right, so any more public comment? We will move over to review and approval of minutes from May 5th.
I move we approve the minutes of May 5th.
I have second.
Now
Then I have a couple
Now
of
discussion.
corrections.
Yeah.
Under who was attending, we have Shannon Everly is attended, but her husband Michael was here as well.
It wasn't on the.
So he didn't sign in, so
Okay,
Kelsey wouldn't have known
and
that.
then, we have Carol McElway, and I think it's Carol Carruthers.
There were two names together, it said Carol and
Kathy,
and they said you could help them.
for both of them.
I have it in my drawer.
Okay. The other,
They're twins, so.
yeah, the other correction is on page 3, when we were talking about, the Village Green parking lot donation. And it said it also, the proposed article included an acceptance of 12,500. It should be a minimum of 12,500. It's corrected later on in the reporting of what we talked about, but in the minutes it should show that that was, the original had a minimum. Okay. That's all I have.
Did anyone else have anything about that?
Oh.
Do you have anything? No.
Oh, I did have one more. On the last page, when they're talking about animal control incurred significant veterinary expenses to treat an injured cat. We actually, the decision was made that the cat would be euthanized. So we did incur expenses, but they weren't, it wasn't the huge cost that we'd originally discussed in the meeting. So, and due to the significant cost, we did, the animal was euthanized. So it just leaves you like we spent a big ton of money and we didn't, so, but that's it. All I had.
Kelsey's first time, great job.
I'm
Just a girl.
Oh, I get a raised hand.
Go ahead, Melanie.
You can,
You folks are reviewing the meeting minutes.
Yeah.
And at the last meeting, Dan, you stated that the agreement with that you were discussing earlier was done on Thursday, April 30th. And Barbara stated that it was done in executive session. At the last meeting, there weren't any meeting minutes from that executive session on April 30th, and I don't see any tonight. So I'm just wondering when those are going to be made available.
I think the agreement was signed on the 30th. It was the agreement was negotiated at one of the
I'm checking my calendar. I'm not scrolling
One of
through my
those-
phone, just so everybody
one
knows.
of the executive sessions prior to that, so. Rob was gonna check.
Yeah, April 30th, we did not have a meeting.
Yeah.
Okay,
That
is
that
that the
was
last
that was when
meeting?
it was signed.
Okay, because at the last meeting, you had looked at your phone to say when the meeting was, and you said, I know when it was on a Thursday, April 30th. So
That was
Also-
when I met with Lorna and had her sign the papers.
okay, so the meeting minutes then from one of the other meetings, executive session meeting minutes, one of those should have stated something about that agreement that was agreed to?
I believe so, but I'm gonna have to go back and have to start doing some research and see if we can find them.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yep. All right. Any other corrections of minutes? No? All those in favor? 5-4-0 against. All right.
Yeah. I would like to move that, we, invite the RSU superintendent in Carlton to do his presentation now. He's going to be get involved in the weeds of the water agreement, so I move that we move it up to the next order of business. Second.
All right, what's the board's pleasure? That's the board. Wanna- Okay, all those in favor?
Yeah.
All right, we will move on to RSU 18.
Good evening, everyone. How are you all? I think this is the second time I've been out to talk to you guys, which I really appreciate. We China last night, here tonight, so I always love coming out to the towns. So having been a former city manager, I love hearing town business. Since back in those days, it's always interesting, the interworkings of municipalities. So it's interesting, I was in China last night, they were talking about an old schoolhouse that they own, and what to do. So I always enjoy being a part of those conversations, for sure. So you don't want to hear me ramble on about that. What you want to hear about is the budget. So, I'd like to start with first, I'm concluding my first year here as superintendent. I think it's really important that that I think this is a fabulous school district. Now, granted, it's really easy for me to say, right? They're my employer. But having been there for almost working on 11 months and seeing the work that our educators do every day, seeing the things that our students are able to do and show that they can do, whether it be in the classroom, on the sports field, on the stage, all of those things. It's a pretty amazing place to be. I look across the district, regardless, we have 8 school buildings, and every single school building is in amazing shape. Obviously, they always need work, but they're healthy, safe buildings to put our students and staff in. I think that makes a difference. I've worked in places where maybe that wasn't the case. There had been deferred maintenance done for a long time, or we hadn't been on a good purchase schedule with regards to our buses or our vans. And so those things really make a difference when we talk about the learning environments for kids. So it's just an amazing place to be, and I'm lucky. I say this every day. I tell my colleagues every day, and some of my colleagues are really jealous of the fact that I get to work there, because it is that amazing. So, I don't say that lightly. If I didn't think that, I would probably say it differently, because ultimately your kids do some amazing things every single day. So when we think about budgets, budgets are hard. You struggle with them, we struggle with them. At the end of the day, we're all entities that don't make any money. We're a business, right? To some degree, that doesn't make any money and exists in the pockets of taxpayers. So my philosophy has always been, the board's heard me say that, Mac and Sarah have heard me say this a lot. My philosophy always has been, we don't ask for any more than we need. We will operate on needs-based budgets. We operate on what do we need this year to continue the programming that we have. And to make sure our kids are in with the best possible educators they can be and in healthy, safe learning. So with that comes the responsibility of two things, really taking a hard look at our budget and what those needs are, but also being really transparent about how we spend your money. Those things are big for me. As a taxpayer myself, as a relatively conservative person myself, it's really important that you know where our money is. And realistically, it's not our money, it's your money. You contribute to that, and so we have to be very transparent about that. At the end of the day, the goal always is to produce the best learners that can be the leaders of tomorrow. And I think we're doing that here, and I'll be honest with you, I think we're doing it better than anyone else. And so, and I say that having kids that go to a different school district. And so they've had great educations, but I can tell you that the education the kids get here is just phenomenal. So one thing I did with the budget this year, and I'm not going to stand up and do a great big PowerPoint. You don't need me to hijack your meeting, but I wanted to give you the information behind the budget that I presented to the board. You can actually go see the presentation online. We do post our school board meetings now for a higher level of transparency. I think that's important. One of the things that I did this year with the budget was take a hard dive in return on investment. And you'll see that in the slides here. But you know, I looked at two things. I looked at per pupil expenditures against 40 other school districts in the state. And those 40 school districts were selected because they are relatively similar size and relatively similar budgets. As you may or may not know, RSU 18 is about 2,650 students with a little over 720 employees across 5 towns. So if you look at the return on investment that you're getting for your dollar, I think that's an important metric to see. Just to highlight a few things there, our across the RSU, when you take the entire RSU, the budget, and the number of students, our per pupil costs are 8% less expensive than those 40 other school districts. We achieved 4% higher performance on the dollar. Our average proficiency is at 58%, and our math and reading are almost 6% and 3% higher than those 40 other school districts. And when we talk about those 40 other school districts, we're not just talking about those locally. We're talking those across the state with the Scarborough, the Freeports, the Gardners. And so really taking a hard look, we do a lot of self-reflection on the work that we do every day and the education that we provide, and spend a lot of time digging into the data. When you dig right into it, and I think these numbers say a lot in the region. So I then broke this down to the Kennebec Valley. In the region, we are 16. When we outperform, we deliver nearly 10 percentage points more in student proficiency than any of the other local school districts. We outperform the academic results predicted by our budget by 5 full percentage points. And beyond that, there's one school district in the region that averages a little higher proficiency on state testing than we do, but a significantly higher cost. And what that really comes down to is we achieve 97.5% of the performance and 86% of the content. And I think that speaks volumes about what we do every day in our classrooms and with our kids. Our educators are committed to educating every single student that walks through our doors, regardless of what their needs are, what their challenges are, what type of home they come from, what their fiscal life is like at home. We educate every single kid to the best of our ability. So at the end of the day, when we started taking a look at the budget, one thing I said to you when I was here, I can't remember when it was a few months ago, we started digging into the budget was we were going to take a hard look at year-over-year averages. What did we spend and what do we need for the next year? And so I can say this to you in other places. There are places where we do look at budget to actuals, but we underspend in this line. So we're going to leave it, and we overspent in this line, so we're going to add money. That's not how we operate. That's not how I operate. So we took a hard look in the operational side. So when you think about budgets, there's the salary and benefit side, which makes up 78% of our budget, which are pretty much controlled by our collective bargaining agreements. There's the operational side of operating our buildings, student transportation, those things. The salary and benefits side is really tied to collective bargaining. Our hands are, the only way to affect those really are through personnel. The operational side is where we have the most ability to take a hard look at what we do year over year, because looking at budget to actuals and moving money is from where we underspent to those places we overspent, instead of just adding money to the places that we overspent, we're able to cut $103,000 out of the operational side. I think that's a win in this type of environment where costs are going up every single day. I will caution everybody, when we did this budget, fuel costs were not where they are right now. But because we have a fuel reserve fund, we'll be able to tap that reserve fund to offset those costs. We haven't locked in costs yet. I've locked in prices yet for our fuel, but we're kind of waiting on that to see where the market goes. So we were able to take $103,000 out of that side. When we started this process, I told the school board, at that time, we still had 2 collective bargaining agreements to negotiate. What we knew in November, just based upon current collective bargaining agreements and what we knew operationally, I knew the budget was going to be up 1.5 at that point in time, before we ever negotiated any of those collective bargaining agreements, one of them being teaching. Historically, in the past, I remember when I was teaching in a neighboring school district, RSU 18 was the highest paying school district. When we started this process this year, we were one of the lowest paying school districts, which was starting to affect our retention. So the board, in conjunction with the association, worked really hard to put a collective bargaining agreement together that honored that. I will say this, we don't need to be the highest paying district around, we need to be competitive. And so we did that, and we honored that for our educators that work hard every day. And that was a true collaboration between the board and the association. A lot of times when negotiations happen, they end up having the lawyer on one side, representative on the other. We didn't have that this time. It was a collaborative process without the attorneys, without the representatives from the state union. We were able to put together a collective bargaining agreement that really honored the work their teachers did as fiscally as responsible as we could. And so ultimately, in November, before we'd ever done any of that, we knew we were going to be up 1.5 or 1.59. At the end of the day, through hard work, a lot of conversation, we were able to keep that number. That 1.59 million represented about 3.5%. We were able to get the budget to a 3.5% increase, which is relatively stable on the rate of inflation. That was hard work. It's a lot of conversation. I spent a lot of time meeting with our administrators. I have to thank them because they really dug in and took a look at what they need. And that is across the board, from buildings to transportation to maintenance. So at the end of the day, the budget's up about a little under 1.6 million at 1.594 or 3.5%. You can see in the presentation, there are ways that we got there. I was able to contract some positions, adding a position at the middle school because there's just a lot. Messalonska Middle School is big. And there's a lot of support needed for our students. So we added a position there to support our students and our staff. But we contracted other positions to make that position possible. At the end of the day, I say this, when we look at budgets last year, the FY25 budget ran 99.4, that was supposed to be 44%. It was 74 on there. It was 99.44% efficient. That meant we budgeted about right. What we needed this year, we're projecting it running at 99.7%. Making sure that we're only asking for what we need. Being at 3% was, I wanted to be a little less than that. We just went up there and continue to have the same program. At the end of the day, the question really becomes, what is the impact? As you all know, there are multiple formulas that go into what the impact is to your community. For Belgrade this year, budget was up 3.5%. Belgrade's impact is 2.43%. One of the things that happened for Belgrade this year was that the valuation leveled off. Town of Belgrade has the highest valuation in the RSU, and I think you know that. I think that's been a topic of conversation many times. But Belgrade's valuation leveled off, whereas specifically Oakland and Sydney's climbed significantly. And so their increases were a lot higher. You can actually see, I put those all on here, on this slide right here, it says what is the impact. Okay, so in Belgrade, it's a 2.43% increase or $182,000, $182,814. I always give this number because I think it's really important. That number is, what is the impact on a home? And I use $100,000. I'm well aware that most people's homes, almost every home, my house in Fairfield, it was only valued at about 100,000. That's not the case anymore. And so, you know, I know that most homes are valued more than that, but I use $100,000 because it's the easy number. So on $100,000 worth of valuation, it's about $17.51 a year. So if your house is worth $300,000, which the estimated, the median home price in Kennebec County is about $325,000. That impact is $56.91. So we tried really hard to be responsible, but at the end of the day, the goals were really how do we make sure we're paying our staff what they deserve so we can be competitive in the market and continue to retain the staff we have and recruit staff when we need to, but also maintain the programming that we have for kids. And ultimately, I think we achieved that goal pretty well. There's a lot of data in here with regards to, you know, I did a table in here about, you know, if the RSU 18's budget had matched inflation, what that would look like today. You know, over the since 2014, you know, we're at 47.1 million, 15 million. If the budget had matched the rate of inflation over since 2014, the budget would actually be 52,692,000. And so really trying to be responsible with money is the most important thing. Sarah and I talk about it all the time. You know, we want to make sure we're taking a hard look at our budget to actuals, being responsible with taxpayers. And so, you know, ultimately, I'm really excited that we were able to get this here. I'm excited to be the superintendent of RSU 18. It's just a great place to work. And to do that hopefully for a very long time. So thank you. I'm more than happy to answer questions if you can.
I do have one question, or at least one for now.
Sure.
Starting one of the slides there said, where do we start? It talks about the health insurance, wages and stuff.
Yeah.
It says historically RSU 18 has had high medical loss ratios.
Yes.
What is driving that and what are we trying to do though?
Well, so medical loss ratios are hard. You know, we have 722 employees, but you have 3 employees that all of a sudden, unfortunately, contract cancer, or you have a bunch of births in a year. A lot of that will impact your rate with regards to insurance. Historically, it's been high. The last couple of years, it's been well over. So what you pay in versus what they pay out for you, we've been well over 100%. This year we came in at 96%. So, you know, we've got a pretty robust wellness team. I think that has made a huge difference. People really starting to take care of themselves has also made a huge difference. But you get a few cases of really hard stuff that employees deal with, and that affects your medical loss ratios.
Okay, well, I just didn't break it down. I didn't know if some of that had to do with on the job, people getting hurt.
No, that would affect our workers' comp
Okay.
rates, which actually we're not seeing a very tiny increase this year. So, yeah, and actually, that's a good point to bring up. So we have a very, how shall I put it, vibrant safety committee in RSU 18 that actually reviews all of our injuries, our workplace injuries quarterly, or actually on a trimester every 3 months. That's quarterly, I guess. Every quarter about what they are, looking into where we can do a better job, promoting school safety. We're one of the first districts I've ever worked in to have a safety officer. We have one of our bus drivers who's also a fire chief, who acts as a safety officer, checks our buildings. We do thorough walkthroughs of the buildings. They get reports, we fix things. If there are things that, you know, with regards to piggybacked extension cords and things like that, and take those all out and make sure trip hazards are taken care of. They review those on a quarterly basis and it really works well. There.
I don't see it here, and I don't need it tonight, but is it possible to get cost per student by town?
I can do that for you.
Because
Yep.
obviously it's a concern to us.
Absolutely,
The
yeah.
disparity there.
Yeah, and I have that data. I can send it on to Mary this week.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was one, and another one is, there was a lot of discussion about reserves and the fact that we used to have reserves at 5% of the budget, and
Yeah.
then COVID came and we went up to 9%.
Yeah.
And if we operated for all those years at 5%, what are we at for a percentage now?
Well, our unassigned fund balance is sitting a little bit lower than 5% right now, but when you wrap in all of our reserve accounts, so they're actually committed funds, we're higher than that. I can get you the percentage. Sweet.
I mean, that was a concern that, you know, a couple years ago, I guess, they were going to look to get us back to 5% and allow credit to the towns, and that hasn't happened in the way in which we
Sure.
felt it was going to happen then, so.
It's
just
hard.
that.
It's hard with fund balances, partially because, so this budget actually rolls in $800,000 in carry forward funds. One of the things I said to the board, and Sarah can, or Matt can talk about this as well, is that projecting out, looking at, last year, we didn't need all of that 800,000 because the revenues were good. This year, I will tell you, we won't need it again. So that will go back into the unassigned fund balance for this year, partially because the revenues were up. So one thing I did when I started looking at things like our interest on our bank accounts. We were getting very little interest on bank accounts, and so we made some shifts in our banking to go into a sweep account to get upwards of closer to 4% rather than 0.5%, which was a huge thing. The other thing I did was there's a piece in the law about superintendent's agreements. We have quite a few superintendent's agreements here. So last year, superintendent's agreements weren't requested, so a reimbursement for that. So we're actually able to double dip on that this year from the state. So that's going to help our revenues. That being said, looking at where we are and where we brought our revenues to, we're pretty clear on what our revenues are at this point. Moving forward, by rolling in 800,000 after next year, if we continue to use $800,000 a year in carry forward funds, in 4 years, the unassigned fund balance will be down to about $300,000, where it's at about 3.5 million. And so consequently, we're going to have some hard conversation about that. I worked in a school district before that had no fund balance, actually had a negative fund balance of about 1.3 million, which is a very scary place to be. And so what that meant was the budget, and there was no money on the backside to offset the cost of the taxpayer. And so which was taxpayer money, and so that's why you do it. And so every year, like this budget being up 1.5 million, that was what was assessed. Whereas when you have carry forward funds, you're able to offset some of that. But projecting out that those are going to be gone in 4 years, that's a pretty scary place to be. So I think we're going to have some hard conversation. We've started talking about it a little bit about what do we do about that. Historically, the district had used about $500,000 a year in carry forward funds. A couple of years ago, put it up to 800,000, given where the fund balances were. The problem with every time you increase that, if you don't have it the next year, you create an artificial hole you have to fill in the taxpayers' pockets. And so it's a very dangerous game to play. I get why we do it, and I think it's important. It's taxpayer dollars. We should be using it to offset increases. At the same time, it's a dicey road to walk if you don't have it all of a sudden. All of a sudden, 1 year, you're seeing a $2 million increase, and oh, by the way, you don't have that 800,000, you've only got 300,000. That increase to the taxpayer just gets sued. But yeah, I can get you those numbers.
So we do have a question from
Yeah.
Joan King online. She says, can you clarify what you said about how much a home at $300,000 pays for school tax? Was the 56?
So the increase year over year estimated on, let me get to that slide here. So for Belgrade, the increase on a median valued home in Kennebec County, which is about 325,000. The increase year over year is $56.91.
Okay, her second question. How much are the reserves for the school system and what is the student teacher ratio?
So I have the reserve in the packet and I'll have to come.
Okay.
In the back.
In the back, it's the last page. So currently, our fuel reserve sits at $200,000. Our capital reserve sits at $1 million. The emergency contingency fund at the end of FY25 was at a little over $1 million, but I will tell you that we've spent about 400,000 of that this year. There was a contract that was put into that last year before I came. Also, we had the chiller at Messalonskee Middle School go down, which cost us about $260,000. That was unbudgeted for expense, and that's why we use that money there. So that will be down in the next audit. And then those are our total committed funds. We do have a technology fund that sits at around $273,000. That's a pass-through fund. The subsequent year budget we were just talking about was $800,000. And then the general fund, which is the unassigned fund balance, sits at about 3.5.
And next question was, what is the student teacher ratio?
I don't have that right now, but I can.
Okay.
I'm curious if you're seeing increasing enrollment or if it's kind of leveled off. I know there's a bunch that moved back during
Yep.
COVID, but I'm curious if that's leveling off and if different like towns are seeing different trends with that.
So we're staying pretty steady with our enrollments. I think there was a time where probably 8 or 9 years ago, enrollments had started to drop. So the last few years, they've stayed pretty steady. There isn't, so one of the things, having come from other communities, we don't, and I say this word, it doesn't come out right, but we don't have a transient population that moves back and forth between service centers. When I worked in another school district, we were outside a very large urban service center. And so we had a large population that moved back and forth, specifically between 2 counties. We're not seeing that here. We're seeing, one of the things that we are seeing is a huge growth in Sydney. The town of Sydney is the largest growing town in central Maine, or I think the fastest growing. So their population is up. Bean School is is around 315 students at this point and getting very close to busting it seems. Belgrade's population shrunk a little bit with regards to student population. We're holding steady at Belgrade Central School, the numbers the last few years. So, but I can get the student to teacher ratios as well.
Anyone else?
First of all, I want to say, Andy and I knew one another when he was the city manager in Gardner, and he helped me out with the financial situation in Winthrop. Had great respect for his financial acumen. I was really thrilled to see RSU 18 hire him as the superintendent. So kudos to RSU 18 for landing a great superintendent. He mentioned something about the cost of Belgrade this year that sort of flipped the switch with me. The last iteration of the budget that I got shows that the number that we've plugged in is nearly $7.8 million. According to Andy's figures here, it's a little over $7.7 million. So I point that out just to ensure that we get the correct figure, because last year I don't believe we gave the correct figure to the assessor as far as the assessment to the schools. And so we ended up paying from our fund balance in order to pay them, and we need to make sure we get the right number in there so that we're not overtaxing taxpayers to the tune of about $83,000 in the coming year.
We got the right number.
Okay.
We
Well,
checked that today.
Again, the latest iteration I got was 7.8 million. This is
Yep.
7.7.
No, we got it all figured out today.
I have one other question.
Sure.
Recent concerns for me is, and I understand we do very well within our group of, that you compared to the 40 districts or so on. But when the national news tells us that Maine is in the bottom 5 states, it's concern to me is how do, not just RSU 18, but what are we looking to do, or what is needed in there to start to get our national performance level
Sure.
out of the basement?
And the national performance level is hard because that's the NAEP test. And we actually, so the way the NAEP test works is school districts are just selected. The DOE tells you who's taking it. So we actually every year seem to be selected to take it. I think that's probably because we are so high performing. I think overall, you're right. One of the things that we've done here that is different from anywhere else I've ever been or seen. So we use the NWEA, which is the state assessment as well. NWEA renormed itself for 2026 or 2025 actually. And looking, and when I say renormed, they took a look at the last 5 years worth of data on that test nationally, and the curve actually shifted left instead of right. And so that's what we're talking about with national performance. Here in RSU 18, we set our own benchmarks related to that. So we did a hard dive into what those look like and wanting to make sure our benchmarks that we set for kids are higher than those norms, because we can achieve those, and we dig hard into those. Something that we're doing this year is we've addressed the middle school math program. One of the areas that we've seen the biggest struggle is at Messalonska Middle School with regards to math. Didn't have a program. So our educators spent the last year digging into programs, the data behind the programs, and have selected a program that I think will really work well for our students and see our math scores grow specifically at Messalonska Middle School. I will say at Messalonska High School, we have some of the highest AP tests scores in the state. And I think, in relation to the national news, the state of Maine has seen a struggle with the pandemic really hard. One of the things that RSU 18 did that other school districts didn't was stayed in. Kept school going when a lot of school districts did not, and I think that's paid huge dividends with our students long term. So, yeah. Thank you.
Are any other questions? Anything else online, Mary?
No,
Nothing?
no.
Sarah?
Sarah.
I just, I gotta add a few comments. For those of you that know me for at least 4 or 5 years in the school board, I have some critique of the budget, especially in the items of the concept that the budget to me, when I did my own home analysis about this, it seemed unbalanced where the actuals were here and the expenditures were here and some portion of the budget and then some portion of the budget, the actuals were here and they were underspent. That is gone. That is all, the actuals are here and the expenditures are very tied to the actual. I think, and can give word of that, it was tremendous amount of work from the administration because I pointed where the wound was, so to speak, but they didn't let me help with any of that, so they took it all in. So it was a tremendous amount of work. I am very confident in the concept that the operational part was really leaned out and streamed out, and the monies that were got out there was put towards the increases. I think the budget would have increased more than 3.5 if that was not going to be done. So that said, the outgoing message to the residents of Belgrade is to remember that of every dollar, local spend dollar, local money from the 5 communities that goes to the RSU, this town pays a quarter. So out of every dollar, we pay a quarter. And that is basically because of our valuations. If we want to change that, we have to go and fight in that custom for the most part. But when we see that the budget is going up, as a matter of fact, Anthony mentioned that the total cost is just about that. Out of 30 million that our towns put together for the RSU, more or less, we pay about 7.5. So that's about exactly about a quarter. So when the taxes go up, basically the heavy weight usually is related to the RSU. So that said, this year there have been a lot of work towards that, stream as a stream can be, and I appreciate all your attention to it. And I appreciate all the work of the superintendent this year.
Mac, do you have anything you want to add or wish to add or?
I guess just my own personal interest isn't so much the money in the budgets. I personally am a supporter of taxes because I think taxes pay for things like schools. And I know Andy spent a lot of time talking about how we compare financially, but this school district's really good. And there's a reason it's really good. We'll talk to the teachers are happy. We signed a new contract with them. Also, I'm really interested in mental health and the 2 new positions. We only added 2 new positions this year, and both of them are focused on mental health at the middle school level. And
I really feel like if you want success, it's not always just about testing and memorizing. It's about creating an environment where your students feel comfortable and able to be successful. And I think that's just as important piece as the financial. And I think as long as we continue to focus on that, I think we're gonna remain successful.
I'll piggyback on that, and I just wanna thank Andy again, we have had a couple of meetings. And I just met with the food service director as well, they've been very supportive in extending services within the RSU to our recreation program. So helping us reach an MOU for transportation, which saved us their boat fee for our summer camp. And then making sure that our kids for summer are fed both breakfast and lunch, which is a huge piece for us. As we know, they can't, as well if they're there for 8-9 hours and they're hungry. So, that's been a blessing for us, so we appreciate it.
Happy to work.
Great, thank you. All right,
No question.
okay, so thank you very much.
Thank you all very much.
So now we will go back to the unfinished business on water.
So the
Everybody
memo,
wants copies of the budget presentation, they're right here.
the memo on the front of this is pretty much as Lorna did it initially. What I did was plug in the numbers that you requested, the dates, and I know you had a couple of questions, Barbara. And the pink is from Teresa, and Bernstein Shore is the blue.
Yeah, I had a couple of things. I just wanted to make sure that on page 4, under 5, budget design, A, scope of work, number 2, that at the very end, it says, but no later than December 31, 2026. We need to cross out likely in spring of 2026, because that
Okay,
was what
yep.
it was originally.
We'll do that.
You have one more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you're finding that on page 3, it says the point of contact will be, is on the Nicholas. I think we should say the point of contact will be the town manager or acting town, whatever, because we don't know what will be in that agreement. So it would be the town manager. It's
said-
number 3, the second
The
bullet,
bullet.
that we just get that corrected. Two. Okay, you find yourself.
Yeah, that line. The other one's on page 8. The number 2, 10-year reimbursement plan. And I know that these numbers were changed, the numbers that are in yellow, 2026, there's a 5 that's still sort of hanging there. And then 2035, there's a 4 hanging there, so I just wanted to make sure that those years were clear. And then in the last yellow, where it says, at least 4 something,
Months.
we need to say 4 months.
Yeah.
Because that's what we had talked about, 4 months rather than days, because we wanted to have.
So you want me to cross out the days and leave
Cross
the
out
month?
days and circle months or however,
Okay.
just leave months or whatever. But then, at the bottom under years 2 through 10, it says the MDOT shall invoice the municipality on or about July 1. Well, we're asking for it 4 months before, which would, 4 months before our annual meeting, which would actually be February 1st.
Actually, February would be wouldn't it be March 1st? March, April, May, June.
March, April, May, June.
So we really did it.
February?
It'd be
I
like,
mean, February 1st, that's 5.
No,
So,
because we
no.
have to have the budget, but we vote the budget in June.
Oh, because when we vote it, not when it takes effect.
right,
Yeah.
Okay.
in the
we
middle of
could-
June, yeah.
Yeah.
So you want it February 1st, correct?
Well, July 1st doesn't really make any sense because
Right.
that's. So I would say even February, March, whenever we think. You know, we,
Well,
I don't think-
earlier you could have set up.
yeah, so let's just say February,
Okay,
because, you know, we have a pretty good idea of what the amount is going to be. It's probably not gonna change a whole lot from the 49. And I think that's all I have.
any other changes from anyone else? So after I have made those changes, do you want me to send it out to you? Do you want me to just send it over to Teresa and Bernstein Shore? What is your,
Should send Bernstein Shore first, do you think?
okay,
Should they review it before?
Those changes are basically just some.
It's just has to be-
Full read, yeah.
it's just small, yeah,
Nothing sussed.
okay,
Whatever's appropriate.
all right, to finalize for signature. Okay,
Who says this needs?
Is DOT starting to do projects before the contract's signed? Are you guys aware of that?
Didn't know anything about them.
So they are starting to do projects, so if you guys sign the contract.
Are they on that Schedule A properties that we talked about that need construction?
No,
Or the ones that don't need the construction?
it's actually the ones that already have existing systems. They're going in and changing the systems out. I have a system that, I had a company come in and spent almost $3,000 getting the system up and going. And my understanding, they're coming in and getting it out. They showed up last week, they won't answer any of my phone calls, return my phone calls that I've given to them today. There are properties I got discussion, like that discussion with them on. One of them being down Pinkham's Cove, that they're knocking on doors and telling people that they have salt in their water. Which this one property that they knocked on the door does not have salt in it property. So I'm kind of a little wishy-washy about on signing the contract, if they're gonna start knocking on the doors down Pinkham's Cove, telling everybody they got salt in their water. And they don't have salt in their water, it's gonna be very costly to the town of Belgrade.
Can we get the properties that are specifically being affected by what you're talking about so that we can talk to them about specifics?
They asked me not to do it in public, but I will give it to you guys.
Yeah, it doesn't have to,
Yeah.
have to be in public, but whoever, Mary or whoever's going
Yeah.
to follow up,
All needs to
we'll
know.
need to know specifically
And-
what properties. we're
Right,
talking
and the other thing is, it'd be nice to see that to go out to RFP. To do this project, as far as I know, it has not gone up to RFP.
and this contract right here deals with 27, 11, and 135.
Yeah.
So it doesn't touch Pinkham's
Doesn't-
Cove,
yeah,
that's a
say I don't-
completely
Right,
separate
right.
issue that we will be paying our 50% match for, is my understanding. So this contract right here specifically states those 3 locations.
Right.
But if they're knocking on doors that may not have salt, we may want to have a conversation, like,
Okay,
why, what's that?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, this contract is just for the triangle.
right.
All right, yeah, let's see if we can find out what's going on down there from the state.
Okay.
Anybody else got anything else on that contract? We'll make a motion to have Mary send that to.
So
The Bernstein Shore.
Yeah,
Second.
all those in favor? 5-4-0. And then we have. School warrant notice.
That was just part of the information with Andrew Carlton.
Guys.
And we do have the warrant, it's a notice of warrant that you sign the multiple signatures for. So basically it was to just let you know, these are the questions that will be on the Thursday meeting up at the school.
is that tomorrow night? No.
Thursday.
Thursday.
Yeah, it's 6 o'clock.
Right, Sarah?
You say that is at the PAC of the high school?
Yes,
Thank you.
All right. Next item will we review town meeting warrant with the moderator. Christian.
Oh, boy, you're
Hey,
on.
guys. So last meeting we didn't do like we did the meeting before or the year before, where we went through some of the warrant articles and just picked, who might be able to speak to it. And it was a little clunky this last time, as we all know. And there was some change to the moderator's manual that also created a little issue with some voting. But in any case, I think it is helpful if we, at least on things where there might be more questions from town folks as to whom I might look to say, hey, this particular one, who wants to speak to it? I mean, I'm not sure we have to go through every single one, but that time before, I was able to point to people and just, then they were prepared as well.
right.
To speak to it and wasn't caught off guard, which kind of put some people on the spot.
Yeah.
So.
Agree.
I found it very helpful 2 years ago when a select board member was assigned to each question. Because that way we could kind of look at it with fresh eyes and, see if there was something that we didn't understand. Not that we would have to be the expert on it, because a lot of the department heads or the interim town manager, would be the ones to have the factual or technical information. But I think it's really good for us.
Or the
We can just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But I think it's important for each one of us to know that we own certain questions.
And of course, everybody can make comments and discuss it and all of that. It's
Right.
just that having that initial thing when a person gets up and says, hey, I have this question on this and whatever it is, I can look to whomever would like to do
Who's gonna
it.
get it?
Right, and just like, the MRSA, if one of us has the MRSA that's relevant to that article, then we know that that's taken care of.
And of course, it's at your pleasure, but if we wanted to go down through, starting with the town meeting section, after the secret ballot part, and just run down through those, do you guys want to do that? And that way I'll write it down and.
I think it's important we do. that.
Well, yeah, and I'll send it to you like
And
I
then-
always do,
Yeah.
and then
With who it's gonna be.
who it's gonna be,
I like that.
and let them know they're responsible.
It puts us on the spot.
Well, it actually keeps you from being on the spot in a way by saying, instead of looking at you, how do you want to answer that? And you didn't prepare for it or
Right.
research it or whatever.
Right, and that way we also don't have to prepare each one, but we know which ones we need to have some experience with.
So do we start with Article 11? Is that?
9,
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Yep, you're right. Where it says end the secret ballot before that.
Yeah.
Got it. All right, well, if we go down through that, you guys can tell me, obviously, who you want. And then Mary, I'm gonna note that for me, but I'll write it too. But starting on Article 9, who would like to be the one to speak that primary? Again, it doesn't mean that other people can't later.
Why don't we just start?
You wanna rotate them?
Let's rotate them.
Yep.
So I'll start with 9.
All right, and Ken, we're gonna do Barbara. Yeah,
so you're just putting, okay, so we're just going right down through the line and doing it that way?
Yeah.
Do you want the person with the most experience to speak on the,
I'm just gonna say, well, that, the first person may speak on it, but you guys can say you want different people.
Yeah, we can
That's-
line up.
And there may be some that's more in line
Like,
with
get
the
water.
town manager or tax collector.
Right.
Again, the whole thing I want is just not to put somebody on the spot.
On the
And then there were
spot.
a few questions, couldn't get anybody to answer.
Right,
That, you guys were there, and you saw it, there's a little bit of a chance like, well, should I speak on it, should I speak on it? And so. You can look at these articles and say if we're okay with that, but is 11 okay for you?
Yeah.
Michael, is that
Yeah.
okay for 12?
I'm fine for 12.
And what's 13? So is 13 okay for you? Yeah. And we'll come back at 14 okay for you, Dan?
Yeah.
And going down through Barbara, 15, is that one okay? That gets us a lot of the budget.
so shouldn't the treasurer be speaking to that tax issue? So there are departments that are more experienced
Yeah.
in some of these things. So I'm just like, so when we go back to 13, we're talking about the interest rate on taxes and the reason why. So to me, the treasurer would be, or the tax collector would be the person to speak on that.
Right, and we're not saying that the person with expertise
Okay,
can speak, we're
okay.
just saying that, you know, if we each take a look at this.
Okay.
And, you know, we might have a question that, you know, a voter might have,
Right.
or.
Well,
Well,
yeah, we're gonna take that one step further, because
Yeah.
what I'll end up doing in the meeting is I will say something to the effect, whatever the question is from the person who asked it. Is that in Article 13, I would go to Doug and say, Doug, would you like to speak to that, please? That's what I use that.
are you prepared?
Or, and Doug would say, I would ask that Penny or Mary or whoever, answer the question.
Say, you know, Penny, do you have anything to add? Or whatever.
I am going to just look to the first person, but again, it's not really up to me to. Somebody has to be the first person willing to answer the question. And I just look to-
Penny would speak to 13.
Don't you think that would be better? I mean, I think a head. Or
Yeah.
something like that.
Penny will speak to 14.
Is that, which one? Oh, yeah.
That one talks about the overlay, which
But that doesn't mean we're not
else.
going around back to other people, of course.
Right, well, that's it. You want the person with the most experience
The person.
speaking to the article.
And then what about 15? That's got a lot of budget stuff. Who would be the first person?
Well, if we're going in line, it's done.
Well, it would be good.
I mean, again, doesn't mean others can't speak to it. It's just the first, when the question, whatever it is.
That's an easy one.
I will say that, and if they don't know the answer, they can
Well, we've
say
got-
that,
we've
and I'll
got
look to
3
anybody
weeks
else.
To figure out the answer,
Yeah,
right?
So who would do revenues? Would that be Penny? Would that be Mary?
For 15.
oh, for 15. Either Penny or myself.
I'll put a slash and then.
I'll send both names to you and
Okay.
I'll send
You
multiple.
folks have a question in the audience. Go ahead.
Okay, I don't know if you were first, Bruce.
No, you was first, Julie.
I'm curious if there are any best practices or if other people have seen town meetings that have gone more smoothly. I know that the training that MMA is putting on the 28th has a section on this, and so I'm happy to bring whatever they say back. But it seems to me as though we got a lot of questions that could have been answered by a brief statement at the beginning. And so I guess I thought that that is what the moderator was asking for, is someone to volunteer to introduce the warrant article and provide basic information to maybe minimize the obvious questions. So I'm curious if that's what you guys are planning to do or
Mhm.
something different.
To be more prepared than we were in January.
Not to introduce.
Not to introduce.
Not to, right, not to introduce, but
Like read the warrant article, brief explanation by whoever the appointed person is of what this article means, or why it's an increase or decrease. And then open it up to questions, or if it's just, we're gonna read the article and then open it up to questions, yeah.
So I've done the training twice with MMA, and they. Basically, the process is you, of course, after a second, you then open up to discussion. But I have the power, if you wanna call it that, authority to pick on who that first person is, because there's lots of hands that go up. And I can pick on somebody at first who's on the board or one of the managers in charge of that department. It might go well if they're able to speak to it in general terms. I don't know. But I do have that ability to pick who's gonna be first, because that manual allows, basically, it just says, you know. Make sure you work your way through the list.
If we're gonna do that, maybe we explain that we're doing that to try to provide a little more information. But I mean,
Yeah.
as a taxpayer, that would help me, and I think the meeting would run faster.
Yeah,
If those
that
fundamentals
actually,
are
that's tough.
explained.
And the MMA manual changed, and the
It did.
two-thirds vote thing was a real problem.
Yeah.
Because anybody who calls a question is ending debate, and that's a 2/3 majority. And one person can literally hold it up, and one person did, and in one case didn't even bother to vote. So, you know, I don't like that section, and I want to attend one of those sessions again and say, we need to change that, but. you know,
There wasn't another training for this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's blocked, so unfortunately, but I'm not sure they've listened to me anyway, but certainly I put it out there. So I am not against if the first person we pick and we explain is it so they can discuss it or talk about it. And when I say that, you know, basically giving whatever the lowdown is, I mean, there's no rule against that. I mean, that's up to you guys if you want to do that. And if some of them are more simple than others, frankly, right? Some of these are pretty standard, but then there are ones that are a little more. Either way, the townsfolk still get to do their questions and somebody has to answer. So I like having the name.
Yeah, Bruce.
So how it's worked in multiple town meetings prior to the last two, or three, is usually it goes, the person, like Mary said, that has the most knowledge, or the department head, and a select person gets picked, so that select person knows that article. So the questions can go back and forth between the department, I'm gonna use the department head, and that one select person can answer any questions that come up. That's how it has been in past town meetings. It's worked great for years and years. I don't know why we went away from it between town meetings, but we did. I think we need, you know, I think it went a lot faster, a lot easier. People understood the question, you know, what they was getting told was, you know, it was easy to understand. Questions were getting answered. Like the last meeting, questions, unfortunately weren't getting answered. And it just frustrated a lot of people and made the process go a lot longer.
I was one who was really advocating for this because I felt that there were a couple of articles at the last town, at the January town meeting that we should have known the answer to. Simple things like what's now Article 11, to see if the town will authorize pursuant to 36 MRSA 506. If there's, you know, Carol's now assigned to that, so all she has to do is, you know, say, this is important because what this MRSA does is this, what this says. I mean, it's very, very simple, but we didn't have anybody assigned to answer that question.
It's in the wording, though. That is the authority to accept prepayment of taxes.
Yeah, but I think what we.
That's the
had last
statute.
town meeting, people said, what's MRSA 506?
Yeah.
And they're like,
And nobody answered the question.
and you sort of know, I knew answers in general concept, but is that 100% correct, or is there a nuance I didn't know? So if I'm assigned it, I make sure I know, hopefully, know the nuances. But I think that was hesitancy, because all of a sudden it's like, well, I sort of know how it goes, but is that the only way, you know?
Right.
I think that was the challenge, so.
Right, and Article 12 was something similar, to authorize the Board of Select Persons to negotiate and enter into multi-year contracts. You just need to have a statement about why we need to do that every year. Every year, the board has to be reauthorized to enter into multi-year contracts. Quite a fact, you know, so just so that somebody is prepared to say that, that's why I think it's important, and I feel like as a select board member, it's important for me to be invested, even if I'm not the primary expert, at least, you know, I can have a role or have a stake in, you know, some sort of stake in this, so.
You can be helpful.
So if I may, then if I'm hearing from the audience as well, do we want to have that first person who's listed also be giving a brief statement as to what the article means at the beginning? Because I believe, once it's been seconded and it's open for discussion, I can certainly pick that first person to discussion to give a brief synopsis of the article. I don't think that's a violation. There's nowhere in there that I'm aware it says I can't do that, because it's still just discussion. It's just I have to pick somebody first, and I would tell the audience that if we did that, is the reason I'm doing that is so they can give a brief discussion or brief description of the article, and then I'll go right to any of the folks out in the audience who
And
have questions or comments.
that could happen. I mean, it's their warrant, they sign it.
Yeah.
So they need to understand it and to explain
We
it.
want to do that, because I certainly can. I don't think that's violation of any.
Again, it might be article by article, because I'm looking at.
Some might go right straight through.
Yeah, some might need that, some might not.
Well, I think there's some, that, you know, everybody who's been doing this a while, there are some that are very basic, that there's no discussion and people just want to vote. And we've had quite a few of those. So you're right, that can slow things down if every time I'm coming to somebody, even on ones that might just be a pass. Not a pass, but a, straight vote. I don't know. I think the biggest thing that last time was there were questions and there wasn't prepared research and answers. And then there was more folks who were there and more robust discussion. And then there were folks who don't like to do that and want to shorten that. And I know that I just had to follow the rules and, however it lays, after following the rules, but.
Dan, you got?
Oh, yeah, if you could maybe you just have like a point person, so if questions start coming up and there is a discussion, you can, have your person and say, okay, I'm gonna go to that, because like you're saying, like, if it's going through, then we don't need to belabor it. But if questions are cropping up and that person it's usually obvious, like, okay, somebody needs a summary of what's being presented. So just having that person on deck, I'm ready.
And use that same person we're doing right now as far as marking up the article.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Me.
Go ahead.
I think that, another reason why we got bogged down last time was because we did have a big attendance. We had very large attendance and a lot of people who weren't familiar with town meeting format.
That had
And-
never been
That had never been to town.
at
meeting.
all.
And so if we had had some of these basic answers, what is MRSA, we could have answered it in 30 seconds and moved on. So I think that's what I really was concerned about, is just keeping things moving.
I think that's good. So
I was just gonna
I'm not
say-
running the meetings.
No, I was just gonna
Not
say,
this one.
we also anticipate what some of these questions are gonna be based on what the conversation on the Facebook group is. So like there have already been some conversations on the Facebook group about the discrepancy in interest rate 4 to 6%. And so we know that's likely gonna come up as a question. And so we could use those to prepare a little bit as well and just make sure that we can be responsive to those questions.
And I think that would be good for these folks. I try to keep separate from all of that. I feel that I don't want to taint anything, even a possibility of somebody thinking I'm biased and I pick on somebody who I know supports a certain thing versus another, so I've been very careful to avoid all of that. I have no idea that way, because if I do have to pick on 4 people in a row and they happen to be for something, and I didn't know that, and there's some others against, I don't want them to think that if they see my name on that.
Absolutely, and
I
I
stay
see
away from
this as the people that are responding on the budget committee and select board, we could use that to be as well prepared.
All right, so.
And so are we back to having Doug and Dan on Article 13 and 14, or do we just want to
It's
have?
up to you folks. I had Penny as the first.
I got Penny.
I think.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Those are, a tax collector treasurer.
Still waiting to be called.
Here's what's coming next. Article 14 is Penny, 15 was Penny Mary.
Yeah, Penny or I.
Yeah, whichever.
I'll be there to back you up.
All right, how about 16? Yeah,
Penny.
are we good?
Okay.
17, is this one now Doug or someone?
Nope,
Straightforward, sure.
that would be Penny.
Penny.
Yep,
And then 18,
would be Dan McKenzie, Bruce Galouche, Travis
you're gonna put that on
Burton.
the list. It's supposed to give them a heads up though.
Yep.
Just so when I look at them, they're not hearing the headlights and.
They're used to speaking to that. Most of the time.
Yeah, and we had the discussion we've done.
So just to go back to Article 17, so as a, for instance, someone could say, what's the difference between HRA administration and HRA claims? Or, what is volunteer FF? Why is that a separate line? Those kind of questions, I think, are the ones that people might.
And they do come
might
up.
ask. Yeah,
And they did.
yeah, and they do.
But Penny has that, so she'll know that volunteer at that.
And he's like, okay, I'm done now. All right,
Anthony.
You have a hand that's on mine.
Oh, shoot, I do. Sorry, Melanie.
That's okay. I just put a couple of questions in the chat. one of the things I want to make sure that you folks highlight the fact that Mary has put on our website the Citizens Guide to Town Meeting. One of the overwhelming questions that I've received in not being on the board is how do we know when we can speak, how we can do things, and why sometimes stuff is truncated. So I did also ask, and Christian, this is for you, is there any sort of legal boundaries around, like, do you have to allow so many questions? And if so many questions haven't come up, can you then shorten the vote?
So one of the issues is there, Melanie, is that in that moderator's manual, the latest edition, it like, will tell you this is the clear cut thing, but then it gives some discretion to the moderator. And they give a couple of examples in there where somebody might second and then call for the question immediately. And when you do that, that technically by the manual can be allowed by a 2/3 vote, but they suggest you rule that out of order. So unfortunately, they put these things in there where here's the rule, but oh, by the way, use your judgment. And that's a little bit, I'd rather not have that, frankly, because if it's a solid rule, I can just stick to it. I encourage everybody to read the latest manual and you will see what I'm talking about. There's a number of those types of things, and you try, like, for example, when there's been discussion, you see 4 hands go up. You want to try to hit those 4 hands, but if there's only 1 hand, and then somebody calls the question after that hand, there weren't any other hands, but then all of a sudden there are hands. And that's where I think there was some clunkiness, frankly, in that. And I'm not sure what to do because the manual says it's my discretion, essentially. And that's a problem because I don't want to limit, but then I've also got those folks who are clearly wanting to vote on it, and 2/3 of the majority are. So I wish it were more solid, and I do encourage everybody to look at that. But I think I need to maybe explain that a little more.
I made a few copies. You got one? Yeah.
And I think maybe I need to explain that, some of that, maybe at the beginning of the meeting too. You know, it's challenging, in that, and I don't love it, but I also don't love Robert's Rules of Order because you can take a meeting and make it a parliamentary, discussion that could take far longer. And that's why the main, municipal association folks recommend that you use the main moderator's manual for town meetings because it can get more to the point. And they talked about that in there, in that training.
Well, and I do feel that, and I felt like later on in that meeting, you almost recognized that you should have opened up the floor a little bit longer because people had significant questions on that happened to be Article 7.
I don't recall that one, but I hear you, and again, what should we do? I think the town.
Well, because I asked you at that meeting when you said, okay, so we should allow a little more of a discussion before we move it. And I felt, and I asked you at that one if we were allowed to go back to the one that was more in question.
Yeah,
And I defer to you always because I'm a strong advocate of state law and, you know, local, anything that governs how we do things. But
I did look at that and I couldn't find anything in the moderator's manual allows you to go back.
no, and I do understand that, and I understood reasoning for it, but it felt frustrating because the question was moved so quickly, and later on in the meeting, you were like, okay, so we maybe should have allowed a little bit more. And I also recognize that that's just, it's a learning curve for us all. But I do want to make sure that people do recognize that there is the Citizens Guide to Town Meeting on the website now. They can print it out. And then that will answer some of the questions because some folks who, like folks I spoke to, had never been to a town meeting until January. And they felt intimidated by the process. And when they saw things being truncated, that they were like, oh, I felt like people still had questions. They weren't sure how to make their opinions known or their questions, have their questions answered. So I think that that's huge. It's something that folks have asked for. And without us having a newsletter to really push stuff out to folks now, folks may still have questions when they come to that point. So I
And
wasn't
it's
sure if there was
challenging because-
something legally like a time limit or so many questions.
Oh, yes, you can actually have the town and you'll read, if anyone wants to read it. There can be motions made, put time limits on it. And of course, they get worried about that, it might create some issues, but time limits can be put on it. But again, then you're limiting, if you got somebody who takes a fair amount of time to pose their question. And then you go to answer it, you could use up your time, so we have to be careful of that, but yes, there is absolutely in that manual, the ability to set time.
Yeah, Anthony.
Maybe overthinking this a bit. Democracy's messy, and the practice of democracy is messy. Maybe we should just accept that and not try to over-engineer the process.
And that's kind of what they talk about in the manual a little bit, if you look at it, is trying to, give everybody their chance. But unfortunately, there's that issue where somebody calls the question and 2/3 of people want to do it, it allows them to move that question. And, but again, that gives us that little leeway in there, so my feeling is, the way I would do it going forward is when I say discussion, and I'm gonna tell people this, the hands I see, I'll do my best, but I would like those people to speak at least, the ones who put their hand up, that's my view. Before the question's called, and if the question is called and there were 3 people who put their hands up right at the beginning, and somebody calls it immediately. I do have that discretion in the manual to rule that one out of order, and I stick to those 3. But then I gotta remember which 3 those are. And, and then pose the question again, so there is some challenges with that. I'm not sure if there's gonna be another update to the manual. I frankly wish.
They
there was.
just did that one in
Yeah, I know, that's
2025
the
when I
most recent.
printed it off
I'm hot off breath.
and we were shocked.
I'm reading this stuff and I go, oh.
Yeah.
But you're right, it is messy, man. Yeah.
Well, I do appreciate you, Christian, and I don't want you to think that I don't. I just,
Oh, no, I get it.
I always, my philosophy is always, if folks have something to say, you have to give them the discretion to say it. But I also understand there has to be parameters around that, and I just wasn't sure if there had been an update. There's not, but I appreciate you also recognizing that, maybe some discretion where folks still have their hands up is appropriate. So I appreciate you.
Sarah had her hand up first and then.
Is the select board gonna have an informational session this time around?
No.
Session.
We have for the January meeting, there was an informational session where you guys went over every article before
Did
the
that.
meeting.
We did do that
Yeah, we already-
in January.
We did that.
No, so prior to the January 26th meeting,
Right.
January 6th, we did an informational meeting because there were so many people out there
Oh, okay,
That-
talk about that.
to talk about the articles.
Right now, we have nothing scheduled.
No,
Would that be valuable in order to have people understand the articles before they go to the town meeting?
Don't.
I found it very informative.
who's gonna do it?
And I don't know if we're gonna have time.
I don't think we do. No.
Craig, does the manual allow you to, sort of, for you to keep track, have them stand up? And then instead of raising hands, they stand up and they stay standing until you call them to help you moderate a little bit, or is that kind of a no in the manual?
It doesn't say anything that I recall for or against that. I don't think it speaks to that. It just says, folks identify themselves. Not everybody can stand. It's cautions you about using that term, I guess, one place in there. I know it does say that, and so. I don't think so, but I'm pretty good at when I can see up there, because when you're up there, you can see the crowd. I can definitely see if there's 3 hands. Challenge sometimes if they're grouped, which 3. And then inevitably, if there's only 3, the question's called, but 2 other people put their hands up is where I think people got upset. But I had to go for the vote, and then 2/3 voted, and that ends that, and then it goes right to the vote. So that's where I think some people really were upset. But what do you do? But I do think, and I will announce it, I want to see the first few at least. And I think that gives the opportunity. And that might also encourage people who are a little timid, maybe get their hand up at least. You know, because sometimes that's it, you don't want to be the first person to ask a question.
I think towards the end, when it started getting confusing, or towards the middle, we assigned people to help you. Is that helpful to you to have somebody in each of the wings and then the middle, aside from the microphones? To do this and show a hand, or no?
I think it would certainly be helpful, but the reason I have to use people to help the count is the 2/3.
Right.
Every single 2/3 one I have to have a count. There's no way that I could do it and be accurate, and plus we have to record that. So that's why we have to have our clerks do the actual, anything that's a 2/3. We want a manual.
I was thinking for the hands and questions.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hopeful that we don't get too much into that. I think what it was that some people started getting upset that questions were taking forever. And so they started saying, you know what, move the question. And I have to recognize that, you know, and I think that's where part of it was.
All right.
Okay,
Good.
let's get back on.
Yeah, get back to the questions.
19,
Jason.
Yeah.
20.
Mm, Sexton, Corey, or Kevin?
Kevin.
And you're gonna put that also.
Oh, yeah, they'll be on a, yeah, you'll get a list.
I know, you. 21. Where'd my 20, did I just, oh, that was 21, excuse me. 22,
It's gonna be, Penny.
Jenny, yeah, I'm here, I see you. Present. 23,
Jared.
We gotta usually make sure the fellows people they're gonna be required.
Yep, nope, I always send them out a list and I give them which
Okay.
ones they're talking about.
24,
Oh, I won't put it down.
Okay, so
Exciting.
And then when she doesn't show up, she'll be looking for a new job next time.
25, you're gonna find 25. There was a boo-boo, there's mud on my face. It ended up in the town report like that. But I haven't posted it yet. So that warrant article will be posted as it should be. So don't even know what happened.
what was left out of the verbiage that's.
So social services, I can do that one, Mary.
The language of the warrant just left.
Yeah.
The whole language.
But the-
So when I went back and looked at the spreadsheet, it was all the way over on the spreadsheet and didn't even catch it, but
That shift.
anyway, so we will have this article printed separately for people that bring their town warrants with them. Okay. So
So
my bad.
25, Mary, you're gonna be.
Yeah, I'll do that one.
26,
Craig Alexander or Dick Green.
and then 27,
27 is the debt service. That's a no-brainer, but Penny can do it.
I think that.
It's all debt. It's all debt. Those are our. Oh,
28,
you want to do the Stevens Fund?
It's a trust.
Are you comfortable in that?
Yeah.
Okay,
again, they might not even have to call on anybody on that.
right, because sometimes these
The
goes
audience has
through
got
like,
questions.
yeah.
But if I do, I have to call on that
Right.
first. 29,
You want to do that one too? Goes hand in hand.
Yep.
Okay.
30,
That one.
So one of the board members could do, you understand
Why
that
would you go
one.
back to?
Doug, you want to do that one? It's easy. Okay.
31,
Oh, I'll do that one because I proposed it.
32,
Well, for 2 weeks. so.
So
So that one, also,
that yours, Mary?
I proposed it. I'll do that one.
All these little typos end up in the town report that are on that one. Where all the bullet points are.
there's a weird graphic in there.
There it is, a weird graphic. I'll have to look at the town report, but
Okay.
that got pulled out of Lorna's spreadsheet.
Yeah, I had just something.
I see it now. Is it in the town report like that?
It's left obvious in there, but it's out in square and T.
Okay.
33.
Now, I would like to suggest for 33, I don't know who's gonna do it, but I think it's important that we have.
I think Dan McKenzie, fire, he can talk to why they need those ones, and maybe
So
go down
one.
and then go
So I'm just gonna say-
quarry for cemetery, why he needs to defend his decision.
But we need to be able to, whoever's talking about each point needs to be able to say. you
Right,
know, how much money is in the account, what it's planned for,
right,
why they need more money.
right. And so planning board legal, does a board want to do that? Dan, Barbara?
Planning board, yeah. Planning board.
Yeah, say we have somebody from planning board.
Sarah? She
Can do
do
that
that.
one.
On the capital reserves, you're gonna need to correct that figure for the fire truck. Because we made a purchase. So that 700,000 is not 700,000.
This is 2025 balance.
Right, but so people know that when they go to vote for the 200 extra, that there's not 700.
Well, that'll be up to Dan or whoever speaks to it.
As long as somebody has that figure, so he has it, that's all I'm saying.
Can you just repeat the number of the article for,
33.
thank you.
There'll be multiple, depending on the question and what it's going to, Mary, you're gonna put the names beside.
Yep,
Yeah,
I will do that.
On my-
department head or committee chair,
Because if they ask about fire, I'm gonna go obviously a different person in the planning board.
right.
Okay, thank you. You all set, Mary, for that?
Oh, yeah, I got it.
So 34.
So we did that because of the fuel increases. And so we're probably actually gonna need it.
Yeah, I mean, we can, as long as you can give me the documentation, I mean, I'm up next, I can speak to that one.
Okay, Dan.
And then 35.
So I found it. I'll talk to it. It's just a carry forward that was found in from 2018.
And then 36.
So somebody from the Friends,
Judy?
Judy,
Probably the most recognized.
Yeah. wouldn't you say, Judy? She'll be so happy.
I mean, we probably ought to have a select board meeting, because it's not.
Do you want to speak to it with Judy?
Yeah.
Barbara and Judy?
Yeah,
Okay.
because Judy not being an official of the town.
Okay.
I can see that.
Yeah.
All right, then I can look to whomever wants to speak first, depending on the question we use it to me. Okay. That's it.
And I can relate.
And some of them, they have moved that anyways.
Right.
There is usually some that it isn't. Pretty
Yeah,
close,
just go
don't
through.
hand it.
Straightforward. Yeah.
Okay.
And then when you least expect the one that you think is the simplest
Yeah.
one. That's the one that gets everybody hung up.
We'll run with it as best we can. Is that it for that portion?
That's it.
I think so.
All right, I'm gonna excuse myself. Everyone have a good evening.
Yes.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you, Christian. I'll see you tomorrow at 9.
I'll see you in the morning.
Okay.
All right, next on the item is transfer station.
Bruce. All right,
What did you write now?
so compactor. 34 years old, we're gonna have a lot of issues with it. Last year, I think what we budgeted for repairs, we blew that out of the water, and then this past 6-month budget, we've already spent double on repairs. Just all kinds of, it's 34 years old and it's starting to run. About 8 years ago, we had a lot of it rebuilt structurally. And even that 8 years ago, that structural rebuild is starting to come apart. We didn't rebuild the entire thing, we just rebuilt part of the ram and the floor inside of it, but they're all rotting out. A couple of weeks ago, we had to actually cut parts of the apron off where the truck backs onto it. Cause it rotted and bent out the truck and they couldn't get the can attached. So we had to get a grinding wheel and cut off wheel and cut it off so the truck can actually get on. So. Long story short, there's two companies that are reps for these compactors in the area. One's in Maine, one's in New Hampshire. Those are the only two, so I got quotes from both of them. Atlantic Recycling is one in New Hampshire, and then United Hydraulics is here in Maine, and United Hydraulics is who we currently use for all of our repairs. So, I guess what we'd like to do, given the time that it's gonna take to get, it's gonna be 8 to 10 weeks for delivery. And we are coming into the summer, and if that thing goes down on us, it would be really bad. So I mean, it's even late now, I mean, 8 to 10 weeks, we're in July or August by now. So I guess what we'd like to do is order it. And get, there's really no other companies we can go to for pricing for this type of equipment. And it does need to be replaced, no doubt.
And do you favor one of these companies over the other than price?
Well, United Hydraulics, because first of all, they're a main company, they're right here, and those are the guys that we use for our repairs.
Okay.
And they're less money.
And they're less money, they do all of us, they service our balers, they service the compactors, they're the service company that I've been using for a few years now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says attached is the transfer station capital plan for 3, 5, and 10 years. I don't see that,
Oh,
so.
I didn't put it in there.
Well, this isn't part of this is something over the past year, it's not part of that plan.
Yeah.
It's just something that's.
It's not part of the plan?
No.
That's what the capital reserve was.
And that's what the capital reserve is set up for, is if you have an issue, it needs to be replaced, if not. We weren't planning on it breaking, bumper. There wasn't a plan, it just,
But it's 34 years old.
yeah.
So it should have been planned to be replaced.
Well, we knew
Right.
that it was gonna be replaced, and that's what the capital reserve account was made for originally.
Yeah, and in front of you, you also have the updated capital reserve account balance for solid waste came in at 124,629.55. So you have this long sheet because we were gonna look at this. So Penny put that together.
That was Sarah, okay.
No, hands down.
Yeah,
Hand-
hey,
Yes.
I cannot find the number in the packet. How much is the new one?
56,000.
Okay, and do you have a ballpark of how much money we have invested in repairs and so on?
And in the past year and a half, about $8,000 almost.
Just in 1 year, but there was.
A year. Well, every year, there's always maintenance, but not no breakdown repairs like this, no. Things just start going bad, and so it's been pushing trash for a lot of years. And originally it was pushing into, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was pushing into tractor trailers, which is a lot of work. When I pushed those tractor trailers in.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You don't see it?
Are we looking?
So
where we
so
see a
it.
balance of 117, because I don't see it here.
No, because I said this is an updated sheet.
124.
When I got this one before, right, yeah. So there was some adjustments that were made and
No.
No, that's,
all of it.
124,629 is for solid waste.
see if this
I
one.
see it's hard to see.
That's why I was simple.
It, the way that it's, yeah,
Now I got it.
facilities is 176. Yeah,
So,
I'm sorry, Kenny, I'm asking you something else. Why the difference in price is 20,000? between both companies.
One has to get.
So what,
Is that 20,000?
well,
More than $20,000.
is that,
So you get site work and
Hold on, no, that's incorrect. Okay, let me, tell you what's going on here. The land recycling equipment, then, I'm sorry, Mary, the 21,000 site work is for repairs, and that. I don't know if that quote is right here, that's to rebuild. The
Okay.
structure of the existing one, now that's just rebuilding the physical structure, so new rails put in and. We still have the same 34-year-old hydraulic pump. The same 34-year-old hoses, the same 34-year-old electronics, the same, all of that stuff would be the same, all that is $21,000 to fix structural, re-weld plates in and all that. But we would still have all the old equipment pushing, basically, the whole driving system. There, it runs with two 6-inch cylinders, hydraulic cylinders. If one of those goes, $6,000-7,000 for a new cylinder, and we'd be down for weeks waiting for a cylinder, so you can't just repair them. It would have to be sent out to be repaired or replaced.
So why does United Hydraulics say that price includes site work?
Now, so United
Because-
Hydraulics, that's just them on site installing the new compactor. I didn't get a repair price from them, because when I saw $21,000 from Atlantic Recycling, just to do the basic welding, it just doesn't make sense to do that to me.
Okay.
Okay, so Atlantic Recycling is really, the cost was $79,500.
No,
No.
the cost is $58,000 for replacement.
And that's, we wouldn't need the site work.
And that includes their site work to install.
That includes, yes. that
Okay,
includes-
It's not worded the same, that's
That includes the installation, yes, okay,
Okay.
so it's 58,000
versus
Atlantic
55,000.
hydraulic, 55, United Hydraulic,
So
55.
there's.
Okay, includes both site work, so that. That's
Yeah,
all.
just get rid of the word both site work to get the C in
Okay.
there.
Okay.
Go ahead.
and you prefer,
Oh, Sarah.
United Hydraulics because it's all.
Because they're the ones we use for all of our, they're the ones who maintain that stuff.
So you would prefer that?
Oh, yeah, oh, absolutely.
They have a reputation, you've worked with them, so.
They are, all right.
So
Go ahead.
I got two, one, do they offer a warranty? And then the second question, what does it do to you 1 and 5 and plan?
Well, it doesn't really affect the plan, and the warranty is the manufacturer's warranty, to be quite honest with you, I don't have that information, but there's manufacturer's warranty. And they take care of their work.
Thank you.
They always have, just.
And anybody else? All right.
Wait, I have just a question. So solid waste. This 124,629. That's the figure that is in the capital projects account. That this 55 or 58 would come out of.
Correct.
But that money isn't planned for anything else. It's not part of your one.
The 3, 5, and 10, yes, and we also, eventually, we have to replace our generator. There's a few other large items in that plan that are gonna have to come out of that, yes.
So that's why we put $10,000 into that capital reserve fund. To get that built out to do the other 3, 5, and 10-year projects.
Okay.
We're trying to build the capital reserve at a slow rate to get them projects done. And all that, that's
So those long-term projects will come out of this fund.
correct.
Eventually, yes.
Okay. It's not a separate pot.
No,
It's
no.
just there for emergencies.
Yes. We kept it at $100,000, capped at $100,000 for just the compact, because we had no clue what was gonna pay.
Okay.
I don't think we have a choice with a 34-year-old compactor that isn't working and we don't want.
No.
But
Able to do
it's
it.
working, it's
Well,
it's limping along, I don't wanna say it's broken, but.
I'm not sure I
would
would be going to the transfer station if it breaks for 3 weeks.
No, we would still take each trash out. We would just be putting it in open tops and let the animals and the birds take it away.
I move we authorize the expenditure of $55,100 to have United Hydraulics replace our compactor, and that the money come from the solid waste capital reserve account.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? 5-4, 0 against. And then you had another change you're looking for.
Yeah, I don't need to pay them up tonight. This is a simple one, it's a local waste management program, I've now run it in, Rome. For the past 5 years, I guess, we've been using trash stickers. That's the name of the company we get them from, it's trash sticker. They're just really, they're not working out well. They're hard for us to see when people are dumping their trash and if that person, I know they're from Rome or Mount Vernon, did they put a sticker on? I don't know, I didn't see this, I can't tell if there's a sticker. I just wanna switch it back to bags, the way we were doing it right from the beginning. It was an experiment, lasted a few years, it's just not working out for us.
So what are you using for bags? Are you using different colors for different towns?
Yeah, no, just a blue bag.
Okay.
It's a transparent blue bag.
Yeah.
We are going to have to stamp them, we just put Belgrade on them because anybody can buy those blue bags. So we do have a large, we had it from years ago, large stamp pads and just stamp them and put them in bundles. We also want to change it to bundles of 5 instead of 10. Cause at $4 a bag, some people would feel more comfortable only spending 20 instead of 40. To purchase the bags.
Is there a way to have the bags that they could be purchased at the transfer station?
We can't really verify addressing.
They need to be.
We do it up here.
So they Mary, I
Town offices.
We do it up here. Yeah, we're fine with it. We've been doing it that
I
way
was
for
thinking of
years.
someone who's like, I've got to get over to the town office, it's not open on what times they're in, if it's going to make it difficult for people to come and buy bags. That's my question.
We've been doing it for a long
Yeah.
time. We've been doing this for 10+ years anyway, and we've never had a problem.
Buy bag, they're buying one or the other.
Yeah, yeah.
It's that the bags are so much easier for Andy and myself to stock the bags right away. Those yellow stickers are really not good. So.
So we have Rome and Mulberry use stickers on the bags.
Yeah, they pay $4 a sticker, they put the sticker on the bags before they throw them in.
I didn't know that.
I had a question about the Rome. The Rome contract, the recyclables on the second page, I listed twice, steel, glass, plastics, rechargeable, steel, glass.
Anytime that happens, we
Oh,
can
yeah.
fix that.
I know, don't you hate that?
And it's only on the wrong one.
It's only on the Rome one.
That's special.
Go figure.
They get extras.
Go figure. And then I just want to make sure, since we have to be authorized by the legislative body every year to enter into, I guess this isn't a multi-year. This is automatically renew annually. That's okay. Mary, we can automatically renew annually a contract.
Yeah. That way, if there's any problems, they can just not continue.
Barbara, where did you see that with double?
Well, it's right in the beginning
It's-
after the red July 1, 2026. And shall automatically renew annually unless modifications are requested. I don't know, that just seems,
Oh, he said something was double.
oh, in the Rome one, the
On the second page,
second page, the last four of the recycling are listed twice.
glass, plastics,
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, we fixed that. We'll send it out.
rechargeables.
So I just wanted to double check that this is okay to automatically annually renew. We're not in any.
Yeah, we've automatically renewed.
Yeah, this isn't a contract with them. It's basically just an agreement, just like when we do. In the local agreements, when we do registrations for another town, something like that.
I just wanna make sure everything's on that.
Okay.
Okay, so do we need to?
Make a motion to go back to bags.
We approve the interlocal waste management programs with the town of Mount Vernon and the town of Rome. Second.
Really? Any other discussion? Favor? 5-4. Vote yes. Maybe appointments and resignations.
We could have moved this up, but we know Jillian, they're having so much fun. When you come.
I'm happy to have.
All right. Well, we had Jillian as an appointment or reappointment to the budget committee.
Move to approve.
Okay.
All right, any discussion? All righty. All those in favor? You sure you still want that? We have no resignations.
And the other one was just information because so I needed a backup for GA and I've been trained in GA, but because I hadn't taken a class in a year, they were going to take away our GA and we would have had to do something. So Ian and I took the class and I deputized Ian as assistant GA. So
is it general assistant administrator or assistant CE?
this general assistant administrator.
Isn't
As
it?
as assistants, it's like a deputy, yeah,
General assistants.
yeah,
You just got 2 assistants.
I do.
General assistants,
General assistant,
but it's not a T, it's an CE.
Right. General assistant.
Assistant, general assistant administrator,
Right.
whatever.
Yes, ANC.
Okay.
All right, I'm going first.
Hold on.
All right, next is fuel RFP.
so our fuel contract was running out and so that was a follow-up to do when Lorna left, so what we found out was that and the only reason that I found any information out was RSU 18 sent over their bid sheet for us to bid. And I was late in getting it in because it went to the town manager's computer. So anyway, I sent it over. She said she accepted it because it was due the day before. And she told me they were going to hold off on putting it out to bid because the fuel prices were so high.
That's what Andy said to me.
Yeah, so so then I contacted Paul and we talked a little bit about the pricing over there and what was happening. And his recommendation was also to wait a period of time in hopes that things would go down. So Corey and I had a conversation. We're going to top off all of our facilities because it was good pricing, $2.61 for number 2 fuel. Well, when Corey called to get everything topped off, we were pretty close to our maximum. Because we have to put in a bid on the maximum amount of,
Right.
Yep. So we got 48 gallons for $2.61 and then was it 48? Yeah, I think it was 48. Anyway, that sheet's in here. So now we are paying for the fuel. Yeah, we got 34 gallons at $2.61 and 48 gallons at $4.75. So that is our right now price, and that's fluctuating. So our contract will be out. We'll be paying market price. So it's a good thing we have that warrant article to give us that additional money because it looks like we may need it if we didn't.
Fortunately, we're going into the warmer seasons.
Well, and that's what Paul said
A
too.
lot less at the moment.
Less consumption. Yeah.
Right.
So it's just a FYI and
I'd recommend just holding off and just keeping an eye on it and determining when
Okay,
when you guys, board go up with bid again. It should be dropping.
Yeah.
Somewhere it should be dropping.
well, and I will know because RSU will, they'll get back in touch with, yeah, yeah, their bid
You've
sheets.
got that one that you're gonna get a bid out of.
Yeah,
If it doesn't work, you can always go bid it out separately.
okay, well. It ended up being more information than to let you know that we are running out by the 31st. So,
Next is Center for All Seasons.
and Kristen's here to talk about that. The wall. Well,
So I think it was 2 meetings ago, we had brought to the attention and the condition of the wall. We had a visit done with Doug Frame from Golden Pond Builders. We had him come as a recommendation from Hans, and because he doesn't have any interest in the work. So we thought he would be a neutral person to give us the scope of the project and what we need to take into consideration to put it out on. So we do need to put an RFP out to see what we're looking at for potential repair to that side of the building. For those who have been down to the center, when you pull in, if you would turn left into our circle, it's that wall that abuts the kitchen. When he was there, he said you have a year at max and it's gonna continue to spread. So it is something we need to address now, not later. Have significant rot. Corey's online. He's been down for a couple of site visits, but it's becoming more visual. It has spread under the external, where we put the hose in, and it's spread up over the top of the kitchen as well. So, it's through the siding and into the tie back, about 13 feet up, abutting that kitchen area. So it's very visible.
And is it rot or is
It's
it,
rot.
it's not mold?
So there is a concern about mildew and mold in the building. They came into the site visit, Corey's guys had cleaned. We had an estimate at some point, Corey can potentially speak to that, for them to clean it, but it was recommended that it test it because obviously we don't know what we're dealing with. Yeah, the rot on the outside of the building is significant rot, and the reality is we don't know what we're dealing with until they dig into it, because if it has compromised the tie back, we could be in a bigger situation. But we do know that it's been an ongoing issue, it's been kind of kicked down the road, and it's at a point that.
for more than a year or two, it's
Oh,
been
yeah.
kicked down the road, so.
So if we fall into disrepair, we could easily be revisiting, you know, a concern like we had at Dalton. So we need to address it. We need to protect the asset. It makes sense to put it out for RFP now and see what comes back in. Doug's primary concern was making sure you had somebody who's commercially licensed as a contractor, primarily from the standpoint that we rent the property. So that was his recommendation. The remainder of the building, which we would have to look at, was replaced with the different types of siding on front, right side near the parking lot that abuts the stream, and the back side, but not the inside where the bell is. That was never done. But the rest of the building is done in the alternative siding. So
But we're just doing that one side.
we're just doing.
This
that
is the
side
one
now.
wall. And yeah, so
And this
Doug,
extends underneath the porch, is there? Or
Um,
over to the porch,
It's just over to the kitchen that abuts out.
over to the kitchen.
And it does go up over the top of it, so they are gonna have to look at that when they get there. But significant rot is from the corner of the building into the abutting kitchen.
and Doug Crane put this RFP together
Yeah.
on the needs of that, so we had somebody who knows building.
And again, we opted for him because he's known in the area, Hans worked with him many times, became highly recommended, and as somebody who did want work. He doesn't have the capacity for it, but he's good information for us to get somebody on site, because that has been a struggle for us.
And did he have any kind of ballpark idea of what we're looking at?
You know, he said he was gonna throw the number of $150,000 out there. Could be less, could be more, we don't have.
But we did budget for it in
did.
the town warrant, so. So better to do it sooner than later.
I think at this point, we at least need to know. And if we,
This isn't like our standard RFP, but
Right.
it looks like it's complete in everything that we need. What
Did you put it into
Does
our
it
standard
say-
format, or can it just go out like this?
I don't see why it can't go out like this. We actually have someone who may be interested, so, and,
Do we have in here when they're due back and when they're open?
no,
We don't, that was up for the board to discuss what they will need to account for that.
It says proposal due date.
Yeah,
June
we just-
11th.
But usually we say they're gonna be opened at noon on.
Right,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Day that it's usually that they're open to days that June, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's usually
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
yeah,
It'd be easy.
You wanna-
Put our line as proposal due June 11th, bids will be open at noon. By the town manager or whatever.
I'm looking at my calendar.
Because you wanna.
what day is that? Come on. It's not on the weekend, right?
June 11th is a Thursday.
Okay.
Right before town.
What's their call? Yes.
All right.
It's not chat online.
I move that we put an RFP out for the Center for All Seasons.
Something in the chat.
Yeah, we have a chat.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry.
that's okay. So I don't know, I had Ian look at this and it's just, is the town planning to top off all the fuel delivery sites prior to any anticipated increase?
It's already
We
done.
did that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Carol, go ahead.
Okay, oh, I move that we send out an RFP for the Center for All Seasons exterior gym wall project. To have a proposal due date of June 11th. 2026.
Second.
Okay, any other discussion?
I think Corey just wanted it noted in there that contractors should contact him to do a site visit and not me. And then we're supposed to go it.
All those in favor? 5-4-0 against.
I just have a question. For the money that we intend to use to pay for this is gonna be voted on 2 days later. So as of the day the proposals are due, we don't know that we have the funding for this. correct?
Right.
but it is a necessary project that
Right.
needs to
But
be
we-
done.
But we will have the
We have-
estimated thing for the motion, so.
Yeah.
If we at least answer some questions.
Right, it would be good to have for town meeting, that's the.
Plus you have money afterwards, there's you could always.
Yeah, and facilities and recreation,
Yeah.
so it is a necessary.
It's free. I know. At this point.
Needs to be done.
Okay.
And then we got the stairs.
Now we have the stairs. So last year it was brought to our attention.
Good night.
The stairs at Long Pond Beach are the 16-foot wide granite stairs. They're in 2 sections. You have the first portion that goes down, then you have a platform, and then you have the bottom. So that's how they exist right now. Once spring came along and we went over to do our spring check-ins. We realized that the stairs, you will note in the pictures, have pushed in additionally from the bottom, and that is from the level of the lake and the freezing and the ice pushes them. So it's been an ongoing issue. Every year they get a little further in. I had met with Seven Lakes Alliance last year in the fall from the previous year, but the stairs were still pretty safe and usable. At this point, the stairs are not safe and probably not usable, so we need to make a decision about how we address the issue. You have 23 inches from the bottom step that's the most reasonable to be used right now down to the beach. And you now have buckling in the center between the 2 sets of stairs. You have 2 8-foot pieces of granite, you have 8 on one side, 8 on the other, and it goes straight down to make the 16. And then the landing currently is made up of 4 pieces of granite.
It's been like this for a couple of years. I haven't been down there for 2 years and I couldn't believe how bad it was.
Then there are no railings.
Right,
So we had, last year I was with somebody different from Seven Lakes Alliance, they're no longer there, so Stuart has stepped in. The first estimate you had was the additional site review that you had because there were some erosion questions about the shoreline. And there was some runoff coming from a small parking lot on Lakeshore Drive. So we qualified for a grant at the time when I had spoken.
They didn't
with
get
Laura.
it because I didn't give it. I'm only doing
What's that?
I didn't give them all the grant information.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that was, there's a part of it that was a grant, but it was never, it didn't go any further than one.
Right.
At that time, it was. So you will note the first estimate is Hammond lumber. That is just a dock system. It is dated from 25 because it was included in the grant, but it's not the option we're looking at. We don't think it's gonna address all of the issues. It still needs to sit on the existing stairs. So the existing stairs and their disrepair or condition will continue disrepair. Then we'll affect how that dock system is.
So that's Hammond lumber that you're talking
That's
about.
the Hammond.
And is that what this graphic is from?
No, that is mainly handrail. So Hans suggested that we try to work with mainly handrails to come up with something that was more suitable to sit over the stairs that are already there. Once we had the DEP site review and we had Seven Lakes Alliance working with us, we realized that those granite steps, as they sit right now, are holding quite a bit of bank.
Mhm.
So we have now the bank on the left-hand side facing the lake has a hole that I can jump in. So we've lost some of that shoreline. The alternative would be we pull all of that granite step out, but that's a huge undertaking and a huge process, and then it's kind of like a wall.
Well, and there's not time to do that because the season is upon us and short of closing the beach because it becomes an insurance liability for the town.
And our.
This is the
That's
option that,
solution is-
yeah.
So the best solution right now is mainly handrails. He did his best to try to work with me to come up with a sketch.
Mainly dock.
Mainly docks, excuse me,
Okay.
thank you.
Oh,
he-
mainly, so
mainly-
not other companies, mainly
It's
not.
mainly docks. He was very easy to work with, but he is very much a notepad and draw us out a picture kind of thing, so him and I did our best. Essentially what would happen is those existing steps would stay exactly as they are. We would have two separate sets of steps. That's a 16-foot span that would go across the entire width. The part that I don't love what he did is he's got that little set in the middle of that sketch. So the left-hand side would be the same exact width as the right-hand side, which I don't think he depicts here because he was trying to include a bird's eye view. Still 16 feet across. And he is using the through flow decking, which is approved by Seven Lakes Alliance for erosion. They set over the granite steps. And then you have handrails in addition, so there'll be 3 sets of rails, one going down the left, one going down the middle, one going down the right. We don't have to touch the granite. And then we address the shoreline with Seven Lakes after, which we do qualify again for the grant.
Yeah, after the season's over.
Like,
And so all this for $6,600?
I mean, it's a system setting over, so
I
it
know.
really doesn't look that different. But yes, the price
I mean, that
was
seems like a lot of,
reasonable. And
that
it's
seems
2 days.
reasonable.
Will
It's
they
a 2
be
day
as will they be as steep as the current ones?
There's not much they can do about that, so they're gonna try to make the stairs a little bit wider than what they are. They're currently only 6.5
Yeah,
inches.
they're really-
So he's gonna try to double that,
Mm.
which would make it a little safer. And the would be better. We really don't have a way to make it handicap accessible with the exception of more accessibility with things at this time.
Are these removable?
They are removable, so, when we're talking about being fiscally responsible in years to come, they will sit and be attached to those granite steps with the railings on the side. They could be taken out, so in 4 or 5 years, somebody else brings up that they want the granite steps back, and the visual appearance, those could be used at an alternative location if we have a use.
I guess I'm worried more about getting damaged with ice, should we be
The,
taken out the fall?
the bottom piece will be its own piece that can be taken out, so Corey can bring it up 14 inches to get it away from that. For which is what we were seeing for the months. And
which means probably, once you take that out, ice is gonna come in, attack the granite steps, lift it up, they may not fit
Push
back
it.
on there.
Yeah, when it goes back on.
I mean, they were pretty much lifting it as much as they're gonna lift now, because the water levels are coming higher. It's 23 inches now from that bottom usable step.
Yeah.
So what's really the difference between the Hammond lumber stairs and the stairs?
Well, Hammond lumber was a $15,000 dock system,
Oh.
and that dock system needed to sit on the existing landing, so when we had that was last year before we had the dock in the middle. It also was an extension of the dock out into the lake area, which selfishly, I prefer to avoid because I don't want to invite boats in. And it requires me to pull a different swim permit with the state of Maine. So I prefer this because I think it keeps it pretty much the way it was, which was appealing and what people kind of wanted. People don't really want a dog out there, and I
You don't want the kills.
either. We addressed fishing issues last year, we addressed boats coming into close, so I think we're inviting that if we go that route. I think this is a reasonable solution, the rec reserve has enough money in it to cover it, it makes the beach area usable for this season. And then we evaluate, we have a system that can be moved elsewhere, so it's really the most fiscally responsible and the quickest solution. If we don't, as Mary said, we have a number of reports of people who have fallen over there, gotten hurt, we will have to close that beach area.
We would have to close it. It's just too dangerous. Yeah.
I don't have a proposal, but you mentioned there's some erosion issues, is that,
There's
so
some,
this plan?
this program, this plan still supports Seven Lakes coming in and addressing the erosion issues, so they have approved this. They can rip wrap around it. It already had rip wrap in behind the granite. We'll have some native plantings done. And they're going to address the parking lot area, which is where the runoff was, to get it up to grade 4. So, yeah.
Is there anything that can be done long-term in terms of accessibility? Or just the site, not really?
The site is a little tricky for it. When mainly Docs was there, he did say facing the lake to the right, we do have a little bit of flexibility. So at some point we can consider some type of a ramping system there. It would require us to look at ADA compliant paths like we currently have at Center for All Seasons. So it could be something in the future, even if we could get ADA compliant path down to a seated area for picnicking, that would be a step in the right direction. So that certainly could be a future.
Pretty steep there.
It's
Really steep and it's narrow.
narrow,
So,
the rocks are,
Yeah.
Why is it so wide?
that's what they put in.
They did that years ago.
My question is,
Yeah.
why can't we just do half of this? And then
Oh.
just discontinue, just leave the blocks there and just put blocks or something in blocks, people can't use half of it.
Could do half of it, but it didn't really save us any money. We were still looking at close to $5,000 to do half of what we were doing, and we're not addressing the entire issue. I also don't think aesthetically it's an overly pleasing, it looks like we kind of did something. If I were tighter on reserve money, I would say, but I think we're just moving in the right direction right now to open our beaches up and make improvements, and so for 6,600 in 3 years, if the half system doesn't work, we're probably looking at 10 to 12,000 for the exact same thing. So,
A lot of people will go and sit on the steps.
yeah,
So it's not like the steps are open, people go and sit on
They
the
do.
steps and then
Yeah.
people coming and going and
There's still room to get up
there's still room to get up and down.
And so it looks like there's a choice, someone has a choice of aluminum or fiberglass. Did they
There-
recommend one or the other?
no, it's called, the one that we're gonna go with, which is the price that was reflected, is that thorough flow. It's in the estimate, the actual breakdown of the estimate. It allows for drainage, it doesn't affect erosion at all. It's a non-slippery, it's accessible, has a little bit of a skid on it. So it will be safer, still not.
Yeah.
100% compliant, but definitely better than what's there right
Than what we have.
Yeah.
Well, and this would make the people who have been asking for the handrail
now.
very
Yes.
happy. This has 3 handrails all the way down.
He did say it's about a 2 to 3 day job for them, and he thought he was looking at like anywhere from 12 to 14 days out, he would prioritize the project, so he was.
So we done by the
Because
time the
contract-
season's here.
So it would
Yeah.
be done before the doors.
That would be great to have it done before the budget.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then we'll continue to work with Seven Lakes Alliance for the grant piece to address the rest. This does have to be done before.
Spoiler.
I move that we approve the purchase of the dock system or the stair design from Mainly Docks for a total of $6,600
To come from the recreation reserve account.
to come from recreation.
Second.
For discussion. All those in favor?
Is that a chat up there or?
5-0.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with this. We're gonna have to look at it again.
Alrighty. Distribution of state fees policy.
So this is my effort to get a couple of things cleared up before the new town manager comes in. So this is the current policy that we had. And which, if you see down at the bottom, it authorized the town manager to be able to sign. They did this years ago and it hasn't been changed this whole time. So basically, what I did was do the same policy, but remove that piece. And the select board is the signer. And I just put this little note in here, can a town manager sign? Because, yeah, we shouldn't have done that. It was a delegation, but we don't want somebody to come in here that maybe isn't familiar with everything in town government and think that, oh, well, this delegation is in here, it must mean I can do this. So this is just my effort, but if you want to change this up, I have no problem with it. I basically just remove the other language.
Really just housekeeping.
It is, it's just a housekeeping thing.
Town seal is the new language.
Yes. Good night, Kristen. Oh.
Just,
Alright.
you know, all that stuff.
Oh, I got a little T in there, so I gotta fix it.
Okay, yeah. Greater flexibility to disperse state fees.
Yeah.
It is.
I'll fix that and then just have it for you to sign next week as long as you're okay with the change.
I'm okay with it.
Well, we got a couple of other things like that, but I figured one at a time.
Well, if it's short meeting, we could do two.
Alright, good.
Yeah.
Do what you gotta do.
What's that mean?
I don't think you gotta move, I think just fix it and bring it back and we'll vote on it the next time.
Yeah.
Is that what you want to do?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, I'll do that. Sure.
Okay, yeah.
Alrighty, other business. Do we have any other business?
I don't really have any other business.
Okay. Move on to warrants.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if I thought I had put. Did I give you a piece of paper with the other warrant numbers on it? I
No.
might not have done it, so they're all in here, though. Here. These are, sorry. Oh, that's because they are right here.
This just has to 50.
Yeah, no. So the Monday, BMV and payrolls right there.
So. Don't have them listed out on the paper like we normally do. so.
Kristen. What did you want?
I said, we don't have them listed out
Oh,
on the thing, so like we
that
go out.
it goes with the application.
That's all right.
Oh, sorry.
Nope, no problem. I was just looking for my list, I usually have.
No, you can fire me.
All right, so let's start with warrant number 53. AP warrant, $15,255.49.
Move to approve.
All right, any questions on that one? And none, all those in favor, 5-4-0 against. Payroll warrant number 54. $25,501.40.
Move to approve.
Any discussion on that one? Seeing none, all those in favor? 5-4, 0 against. AP warrant on 55. Well, by the end of it. Wow, that's a big one.
It is.
$1,161,161.74. That's a lot. That's a lot of ones and sixes. All right, let's do this again real quick.
Somebody second?
I did.
Okay. So we have the truck.
What's the technical overage from being technical keeper?
It was, I think having to deal with.
It
one of the
was
computers.
dealing with the town manager's computer and getting it to work. We called them a number of times and then we had a few issues out front. Anyway, so that's the overage. We got 0.5 hours left for the whole month.
Let's see, we had the kitchen system at the rec center serviced again. We had talked about trying to get some of the fire protection put out for bid to see, make sure we're not getting overcharged. So at some point, that still needs to be.
What is it? The kitchen?
Fire protection stuff, the fire extinguishers.
Oh.
It's like, I no longer do them. I know their prices have gone up considerably. Want to make sure that we're not being overcharged.
Okay.
Bunch of fire companies to get some prices from, so.
Oh, Melanie's got her hand up.
Okay, well, we're looking, go ahead.
Just a quick question. I mean, if we paid Harris Systems that much, or our IT people that much, what was the issue getting into the town manager's computer? And why was that not easily accessible?
We couldn't access the information, and no matter what I did, I couldn't get signed in. And so they tried to fix things remotely, it didn't work out, and then they ended up having to come out, so. I'm not sure, Melanie.
Okay, so I'm not gonna say anything disparaging, but do we know for certain nothing was done to our computers that didn't allow the next person in? Because when Anthony left and the transition was made, absolutely everything that our previous town manager had done was accessible to the new town manager. So if the interim town manager is having an issue getting into the computer and accessing that information, why is the board not stepping up to find out what the reason is and remedy the situation?
Well, I mean, for us to find out what it is, I mean, Harris would have had to give us a report telling us what,
Main tech,
well, I mean, main tech telling us what was going on with it.
yeah.
Well.
I don't know if it's,
Well, has anyone on the board asked Main Tech? Because this seems, the transition between town managers is not new to the town of Belgrade. And this is the first that I'm hearing that the town manager's computer was not easily accessible to the next person in line. So my question is, I guess, why has the board asked the question of error, have Main Tech, and if they've not asked the question, why are they not asking the question? And what are we gonna do to make sure that anything that is on the computer is accessible for the next town manager?
Well, we'll see what we have to paperwork and find out what main tech said for starters.
I guess so, because A's are here and just. So while she's looking at for that, do you want me to pass those around for signatures?
Yes, I don't think.
First.
Third first.
Mary, are you able to access everything that is needed? Yeah. It's okay, everything that is needed.
Well, I'm not seeing like emails coming through about the new fire department, they're coming to me, so I'm getting CC'd on those.
And that's what I'm saying, everything that you needed on that computer, have they gotten it out or have they gotten it so you have it? That's, you know, so you can that down.
I don't know where anything is on the computer, honestly, the first week, I couldn't get into it at all, so. I haven't had an opportunity to spend any time in there, but I'm not receiving those emails through there. Anyway, this was the main tech build right there.
Okay.
Thank
Okay, can I respectfully ask that the board look into this issue and make sure that whatever was on the town manager's computer is accessible to the interim town manager and to any forthcoming town manager? And I would also like some sort of a report, maybe in a public meeting, about what you folks did and how we know that the access for the town of Belgrade is restored. And that any and all information over the last 3.5 years is easily retrievable within the town of Belgrade.
Well, I mean, we can have our interim town manager get the report. I mean, it's not up to the select board to do the day-to-day operations and go to the tech people. I mean, Mary should be able to get the report, find out why it happened and what they did to correct it, and then bring it to us.
I just want to mention, I think she's more asking for a policy on when a town manager moves out and moves in. That's all.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, it's gonna be up to the board, the new board to come up
Well,
with that
maybe we do
policy.
it next week.
Would you- would you-
Unfortunately, Dan, it's not
Well, we
up
gotta
to the
find
new
out.
board. Dan, respectfully speaking, it's not up to the new board to set a policy that would supersede what previous policies have been. The fact that our interim town manager has not been able to access absolutely everything on the town manager's computer is troublesome for me.
Well, it
So I
looked
don't
like,
expect for Mary to have to come back to anyone and explain why she wasn't able to access it. If the passwords were given as they were, as every transition from town managers and all of our terms, Dan, have been done. If the passwords were not given or the passwords are not correct, we pay Main Tech a lot of money to oversee our computer systems. So when I've heard, this is the second time in the last month at a meeting that I've heard that these things are not accessible. That is 100% unacceptable. So it is not up to the interim town manager to find out an answer from our IT team. It's up to the board to authorize whatever it is that we need to do in order for materials within that computer and the laptop that was at a different location, that those permissions are granted, and that any forthcoming town manager has access to anything that has been done previously in the town of Belgrade. We don't start from scratch with a new town manager. We start from where we're left.
was it the desktop that you couldn't get into?
Yeah.
So it's the desktop just as much.
It
which
was,
here.
so the thing is that she used a personal password that she didn't want to share.
Okay.
So they had to do all kinds of different things in order for me to be able to access any emails. And then it wasn't working.
Okay.
And then they had to work on it some more, and then they finally came out.
Okay, so that's why we're gonna need a report from them saying what was going on.
Okay.
Sarah has that too.
Yeah.
Will
so-
I have to do a FOIA request in order to get the report?
I don't think.
No.
Because it's gonna be here at should come to the select board in a public meeting.
We'll get you the report, Melanie.
Okay, I just want to, our job as, well, my previous job and your job is to protect the town, 100%. So no town information ever should be inaccessible to the next person in line, ever. So for whatever the reason is, and I'm not even going to venture a guess as to what it is, but the town of Belgrade's information 100% needs to be protected. It needs to be revered, and the next person in line for any managerial position should have access to all of that information. If it's not accessible now, then our IT team needs to access each individual computer and they need to download whatever information is no longer accessible via the passwords that were given. Some of you weren't on the board a number of years ago, but we had a town manager previously who was escorted out of the town. That has been tantamount to our maintaining the integrity of the town's computers. So to hear twice now in the last month that information is not readily accessible makes me seriously concerned about the integrity of our information in the town of Belgrade. And it needs to be a priority for the select board, not a side burner issue.
Sarah?
Yeah.
Sarah?
I just got a suggestion, maybe I'll out of line, but when this phones with passwords and so on is happening, which seems like to me like an IT problem, is there any recourse to the amicably for Lorna and see if she can come in and help out with that? So that got resolved. It seems to be
So
a problem of communication more than anything else.
I will say I have filled in twice as interim before. When Denny left, I could walk in there. Everything's right there. What he last did, everything was there. When Anthony left, I could walk in there. Everything was right there. But you shouldn't use, an individual shouldn't use a personal password on a public computer because they should be accessible for everybody because it is owned by the taxpayers. It is a public computer. And it was a personal one that she uses, personal, private, she uses for a lot of her accounts. And so, yeah, it was,
So, too bad for her doing that, but if you need information and she needs to get the password, she has to. So, you work it out. So if that can be worked out,
Anyway.
it will be a
I'll look into it.
possibility on it.
Just give us a report. I
Yeah.
know what we
She just need to get a new password.
need to do.
yeah.
That's not good. We'll look into it.
Right.
You don't want to have a comment.
I didn't see anything else on that anyway. All right.
You all set?
All those in favor?
5-0.
0 against.
All right, just town manager updates.
No,
Oh, you got something else?
Like the other two.
Oh.
Didn't need a piece of paper for. We have B and B warrant number 56, $7,334.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion, no, all those in favor? 2, 3, 4, 5. And payroll warrant 57, $24,013.03.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion, no, all those in favor? 5, 4, 0 against, now. Now you're on.
Okay, now we're on. All right. So we had a problem with the pool pump. So we had to move forward and get that repaired. The cost was $950. 500 came out of facilities in 2 different spots. So he had one in the building facilities down there and then one in another account. So anyway, he paid for that out of facilities. There was a future recommendation because it's gonna happen again in less than 5 years from Sunshine Pools. And it was to go to a variable speed tech power. I'm not even sure what that means.
Yes, at the end of.
Hi, Kathy?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that nothing was deleted from the prior town manager's computer. It's concerning that you can't get in and you don't know what things should be on there that aren't on there, and the cooperation doesn't seem to have been there. Just my personal opinion that you'll want to make sure when the tech person comes in that there isn't anything missing or that was deleted that shouldn't have been.
We'll look into that, Kathy. Thank you. All right, so I received a call from the Department of Defense, Veterans Emergency Management about a grant program that didn't come to fruition. And because it needs to be closed out, they've asked me to sign off on it. I cannot find anything about a grant program for cybersecurity in 2022. So I did find, I don't even know where I put it now, but I have it. A grant that was applied for cybersecurity in 2024. So does it ring a bell? And so I'm hesitant to sign a document that I can't find anything on. So I don't find a folder. I don't find any information on it whatsoever. Any ideas?
They can't provide you with a copy of whatever it was, application.
He had an authorization form to sign off on it, basically saying it was a grant that we applied for, but we didn't follow through but that's it.
I asked him for a copy of the application.
Yeah, it's sent in a secured, so it looks like it's legit, it's sent in a secured email, but I'm just,
Well, we gotta.
I don't know
we gotta Find
anything.
out who applied for the grant,
Okay.
and so. It
20
could have been something.
Well, it was Lorna. It was Lorna, he said, because, and he said he sent it to her. So I did go into her room. He sent an email to her and I went and pulled it off from her email. But mostly it's just all junk coming to her email, so. Anyway, all right, I'll look into it further, but just thought,
So that would have been right about the same time she started, right?
no, she started in,
September of 22.
was it 22? No, it was 21, wasn't it?
No, 22.
Was it 22? Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's
Well,
why-
this was done in November. Anyway, okay. All right, just, the fire department truck came in lower than, expected.
Yay.
Yay, so, update, Ian and I took that training. We did find out I've got to take another training because, monthly reports haven't been filed for over a year. So I filed the April one, so that's been filed with them. So we do need a volunteer who is not part of general assistance, who's not, part of anything that it can be a select board member, it can be someone, it can be a committee or a volunteer. But in the event that somebody needs a hearing, that person is the person that's going to be the person to oversee the fair hearing. So, any volunteers? No. Well,
So
let's not.
What are we looking
So
for?
it's called, a person to hear, a fair hearing administrator is what they call it. So
So
we
it's not-
don't need it right
it's not a
now.
training.
It's not a training.
It's
It's
just
just somebody to,
Basically.
with logical common sense, yeah, to re.
Is it something I would have to fit in where I'm not a GA administrator? Or does it need to be someone outside of?
No, they said it could be a select person, it could be anyone not involved in GA. Okay, so you're volunteering?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll, if the board's okay, I'll just appoint Kelsey officially. That way I can report back to them that we have someone. Okay, all right. Christian and I will be doing ballots tomorrow. At 9 a.m. We have 2 machines. And a reminder,
Have voted now.
pardon?
How many have voted?
How many have voted now?
Are you doing ballots or is it just starting?
I'd say at least 100.
About 100.
About 100?
Yeah, I expect there to be like 750 before absentee voting's done.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about what it was at the last gubernatorial. So yeah, I'm expecting a 2,200. A lot of people might come through the door though, because there's a lot of controversy over election. Yeah.
But for only having them out for the last week and a half, it's been.
The
people
biggest
have been
thing,
right in.
yeah, the biggest thing is the school. So it creates an,
School?
yeah, we don't have their ballots yet. We have people coming in to vote. Now we've got to stick them in the mail or have them come back in. And so we're going to stick 2 ballots in 2 different envelopes at 2 different times. So it's costing us extra postage because they don't have to follow the same rules as the municipalities or the state does. They can have their ballots ready to us in 10 days or so.
I'll let them mail
Huh?
them out. I'll let them mail them out.
Oh, yeah. And increase his budget? But no, I'm gonna get in touch with legislation and put something into legislation about getting that law changed because it's not just, and it doesn't affect us really if it's a small election, but this is a huge election. We've got 2,200 voters, so.
Should have a good part of those.
But then you're asking those elderly people to also come up with 2 stamps to mail back
Right.
at 2 different times. So it's going to be confusing as to what we're going to get back and what we're not going to get back. It creates a little bit of an issue. RSU 18, Ian and myself will be going up there for 5 o'clock, for the budget validation meeting. Everybody's welcome to join us. Last year, actually, we did have the most people we've ever had since I have done this, and all the years I've done it, we had 38 people. So, town manager review committee, we're going to meet on Wednesday, May 20th. They do want to know what is going to be the process and procedure after we meet together. Are we just going to hand everything over to the board? How is that going to flow?
We're gonna talk about that.
Oh, you are?
And then we'll
Okay.
come up with a
Okay,
vote on
all
a plan.
right. All right, so Corey has brought to my attention that he has some no parking signs he was told was supposed to be put on Lake Shore Drive and on one side of the West Road. So everybody's okay? You guys voted for that to all happen?
We did that last summer, didn't we?
Okay.
You guys just forwarded on that meeting or 2 ago?
No, these are no parking signs. These are no parking signs to go on one side of the road, which is gonna,
I think the no parking signs were having to do right down by the Sunset Grill and stuff on one side. of the road.
Lakeshore Drive and West Road, so-
Because it was getting so congested, with people parking on both
You can't
sides.
get,
So
This was a long time ago.
Like the Thursday concert.
so the thing is though, is that Sunset Grill parkers are patrons park across the street from Sunset Grill when they're busy. So it will take away from Sunset Grill.
Yeah, this was.
Nothing will take away from Sunset.
Well,
You don't think, so, okay,
affect that, because people in the summer will go use the parking lot and walk. The little lot.
Yep.
okay.
No, they do.
So we're clear on what side of the road they're going, right?
That's.
Yeah, it needs to go on the side, it needs to go on east side of the west road, so when you're coming out of the parking lot, you don't have cars blocking your sight line.
Okay.
Which side is east?
So, and on the,
Exit.
Park side.
on the
I think
Lakeshore Drive?
Lakes Drive, we're gonna put it
This is bad.
on the north side, right?
Yeah.
That way, we-
Honestly, I don't, it was a long time ago.
yeah.
Well, that's
It should
it.
be in the minutes.
Yeah, we're gonna.
What minute? How long ago?
This summer.
This was in the last summer, wasn't it?
All right, last summer. I'll look it up. I'll see what I can do to find it.
Yeah. That
I
should
mean,
be.
if you put it on one side, you're putting it on people's lawns.
I know.
And that
I
should be
know.
Go on the
road-
side.
that should be a road commissioner doing that, that's town road, not.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, right, but for some reason facilities has the signs, I believe he said, so,
I don't know.
but he said they're ready to be installed,
But
so,
they got the contact in the home run, yeah, there's a lot to it.
Yeah.
okay, all right.
Probably didn't get so long.
Okay, so we had a complaint, Depot Road from the gentleman in the condos across the street, the mud from, people hauling out of the gravel pits. Sent Jason down, I guess it was quite heavy on the road. And the gentleman wasn't happy, he's trying to sell his condo, so, anyway, Jason went down, took care of it as far as I know, so. So today Penny Barber and I all worked, and we're hoping that we may have something at the next select board meeting for the employee policies. And it will be a draft and it will not be 100%, but it's a pretty good start. And this lady that we're working with really just seems to know what she's doing, and she knows all the legal issues. So that was a good Zoom meeting today for
Do
2
we have
hours.
Major changes to make, or is it?
I think that there are, in some areas there are, and there are some things that were lacking.
Yeah.
In the employee policies that we have to get added in, some new laws that have come
Yeah.
into play.
Changing all the time.
Yeah.
With payroll and.
Yeah. Planning board meeting is canceled for this week. They do not really have any business, and Hans is not here and George is not available to chair.
Or George is allowed to chair, but with this, he decided, I cannot be here on Thursday because I'm gonna be at the budget district meeting at
Right.
the school. So I kicked it out to Mr. Seal and he was willing to share, but there's not enough, anything in the agenda to cover on Thursday. So he decided to cancel.
Okay. And Hans, he will be out that day. Hans will be out for the week of June 8 to 12 for medical. Okay. Yeah, you're welcome.
There any more warrants to sign? Because I don't remember some 3 in May.
Hold on a second. Doug, I need you to sign this, for, our Boston Post cane person. He brought it back. Oh, you got a whole pile of school warrants to sign.
I thought there was more.
Yeah. Huh?
School?
The school warrants
Okay,
for,
so- I was gonna take a 5 minute break.
Yep.
the election.
So itchy. I'm not with that
Yeah.
minutes.
Make a motion.
And we'll be, take a 5 minute break before going into executive session.
Sorry.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Doors are.